Good afternoon, everybody, once again, and you're all welcome to today's episode of examining our beliefs and then building a consensus. Before I start, I would like to introduce our panelists for today. We have Nene, Ernest, Nene, who is a humanist. Ernest is a Christian here, Ajo, atheist, and then Jerome, a Christian, and then I'm Naki, the moderator. And then this the host for this program is the Humanist Association of Ghana. So I would first start with, if whatever question I put across, if you want to give an answer, you just raise your hand and then I give you the platform to. So to begin with, my first question to you is, how would you define religion? And what properties must a belief system have in order for it to be classified as a religion?
Okay, so I'll take that one.
Okay, Jerome.
So what I think, I'm not a subject expert, but what I think is that like religion is a construct of like humanity based on where you are. You tend to aggregate yourselves around a supernatural being, or if not that, an idea, right? Then you have certain rules that come up that you should follow to belong to that particular group or sect, and it usually comes up as a solution to like a problem, or to try and identify who am I, where am I from, where am I going. Every human being has these questions that we try to answer, and religion is a construct that we come together with collectively to answer that question.
Okay. Who else?
Okay, so from a humanist point of view, I look at religion in terms of men. So from a humanist point of view, religion is men, as I'll say, and men trying to be men over other men, using men against men for men. I would like to take that again. That religion is men and men trying to be men over other men, using men against men for men. So that's what I see. As a humanist, I look at religion in terms of the face value, the real evidence that we have. And all I see is men trying to exhibit their inclinations, their classisms, their objectives, whatever they feel, they try to exact it. And what they do with religion is that whatever they feel, they give it the God tag. So when a man wants to tell you, don't use this route to Accra, then when he feels that this is the only route that should be used, then he tells you that because a God said so. So that is what I see when religion is in its discourse. I just see men hiding under the umbrella of a deity to do whatever they want to do. So in the general construct, a religion is expressed in a culture. If we look at religions dating way back, religions are expressed in cultures. So it's a culture's way of bringing out their God concept. It so happens that religion has been with us for a very long time, and we tend to make it look like there could not be anything in life without a God tag. But then from a humanist point of view, I know that it is the ageism or the length of time that religion has enjoyed with humanity that is giving it the room to make such extraordinary claims. But then religion is basically men. I don't see gods, I don't see deities. I just see men exhibiting themselves. Okay. So that's mine.
Ajo, do you have anything?
Okay, so I think religion has to do with rituals. You for you to be religious, or for you to associate yourself with a particular religion, you need to do certain things that identifies you as a member. Okay, so if you are Christian or Muslim, I think for Muslims you'd Hajj, hijab. There are things that when you do, you could base on them to say, oh, I'm Christian and I'm Muslim, or I'm Buddhist, or any other religion. So I think religion has to do with rituals, certain associations that come with the entire package. So that's how I feel, or how I think religion is.
Okay. For me, looking at the origins of the major religions that we have, I think religion was a system that was developed to control human beings at a certain point in time when knowledge or maybe humans were so barbaric, and maybe they wanted a way to frighten them into being in order, or maybe something like that. Because if I really analyze every religion, I see that in this year 2019, humans can actually live and love and be with each other without religion, and we will be okay. So I think that religion replaced a system, or like it was the first system of human control at the beginning, like, or when humans were trying to live. Yeah.
Okay, so from your definitions, can we conclude that religion is man-made?
For me, I will subscribe to that 100%, that every religion is man-made. Humans made every religion.
Okay, for me, my religion speaks it perfectly. My definition speaks it perfectly. That it is man-made. Everything about it.
Jerome.
I would take a metaphysical view of things, right? So, yeah, there are some religions that are man-made. It's like a construct that we have decided that this is what we want to do. This is what we understand our religion to be, and it may be based on culture, like it may be based on somebody else's imposition. But in the long run, we humans are a unit of something bigger, which is humanity. So as the cells are in a body come together to give you your consciousness, I believe that human beings come together and they generate that consciousness of a being, something that we cannot feel or touch. It's metaphysical. So that's what I think I would rationalize it to be. That's how I would rationalize it to be.
Okay, so
Please, if I didn't get his point, is he agreeing to the fact that it's man-made?
Yeah.
Some are man-made, some are as a result of something we cannot quantify or touch or feel or see, but we can sense it's there.
so can you give us an example of which ones are man-made?
Oh, I don't want to be biased. I'm a Christian, so for example, the Ashantis, they were known to be like traditional beings. There's certain stories that they have on wars they fought with the British, where they overcame the British because of some spiritual fortification, right? So on that level, you can sense that there's something greater there, right? The golden stool came from the sky, right? I wasn't there to see it, but that's how they would rationalize it. So for them, it is greater. It is something spiritual. For me as a Christian, I'll say it's something spiritual because that's how I understand it, so that's how I rationalize it. But yes, some are man-made. For example, there's a religion in the US, the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Yes.
That is totally man-made, and people follow it either in jest or like seriously, right? That is man-made. So.
And I also think that religion is also as a result of social evolution with elements of culture in it. Okay, so as we grow, humanity progresses. We make mistakes, we learn, we feel the need to put down some rules, and then religion comes in, and then the whole deity aspect also comes in to keep people in check. So it's man-made, but then there are certain good reasons for it, and again with elements of culture. Yes.
Yes, and I also want to emphasize that every religion is man-made because the presence or the existence, I think that existence of deities don't really doesn't really give room for the creation of a religion. So the fact that maybe some people said they charmed a golden stool from the sky or whatever, didn't mean they had to form any religion. So if we have any religion, all the major ones we know, Islam, Christianity, whatever, to me everything shows that they were man-made. Human beings wrote stuff, human beings created beliefs, human beings created doctrines that we are all being obliged to go by one way or the other. So for me, I don't want to believe that some are man-made and some are not. What my brother just mentioned, the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster, is an extrapolation of what it was. That because now people have realized that once you are bold enough and you can create things and cause people what to believe, you can always create yours and go your way. So now we will think it's funny, but I think what we are also following now might really sound funny in some years of future generations. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I want to gather from you that when you are trying to categorize those that are man-made, you put Christianity in the one that is not man-made.
Purely my opinion. I'm not saying that it's my opinion. Because
Okay, so-
I'm a Christian, that's what I believe.
Okay. But then I also want to just interrogate that. Am I allowed? I just want to.
Oh, go ahead, sorry. She's the moderator, so she will decide.
Okay,
You are
great.
allowed.
I'm allowed. Okay. Now, the gods of the Jews before King Hezekiah, we were told not to make extraordinary claims. So please, when you have time, look into it. Before King Hezekiah, the Jews were polytheists. They had a lot of gods they worship. Now, Elohim was graduated by Hezekiah to the national god of the Jews. By Hezekiah, because he won a war against the Assyrians. And he said that all the gods ditched them, and it was Elohim that held them to win that war. So the Jehovah that we see here, that we are so exasperated about, we are happy about, was graduated to his status by a King Hezekiah. So
You asked
for
me a
me,
question, right?
if the basis or the fulcrum of the whole religion of Christianity is based on Jehovah, then he was graduated to where he was by a King Hezekiah. So there's a big element of a man putting him there. Because there were so many other gods. The Jews were very polytheists. If you read the Leviticus and Deuteronomy very well, you realize that the Jews they had issues with worshiping God. There were issues all over, scattered. So I want to say that based on your opinion, I'm saying that I am bringing something to just let you know, or just tell you that the Jehovah you have, okay, was graduated there by a man.
Okay, so would you be surprised I know this?
I wouldn't be surprised because it is common.
Okay, so there was Baal, Asherah,
Uh-huh.
all those other gods, right?
Very many.
Now, the narrative that you've mentioned is that, so this is why a human being chose and put a god there, right?
Yes, please.
What I know from the history that I've studied
Okay.
is that there was a point in time where there was one unified kingdom. Then after a certain time, it broke apart into Israel and Judah. Judah in itself were solely worshipping Jehovah or in the Jewish like pantheon. In Samaria or others like Israel, they were the ones who were worshipping the different gods, right? Now, one part of the Christian narrative or the Jewish like narrative is that this is the reason why God punished them, in that they were enslaved by the like Assyrians, later the Babylonians, later the Persians, and then the Romans, before Christianity came over and took over the Roman Empire, which had taken them over. Right now, looking back through history, right, that for me, I don't want to go in deeper, but I would say, for me, history is the evidence of something metaphysical happening, in that you can see a certain graduation, that at a point in time, a minority believed one thing, then now it's spread all over the world. Why didn't Baal or Asherah or anything else become as powerful as like Elohim? So in that regard, I would say for me, even that is one evidence of the fact that there's something metaphysical there, and it's
It
not
might not
man.
be metaphysical. I'm sorry to cut you.
My
really
opinion,
sorry.
sorry.
It might not be metaphysical. It might be that if you have a group of people, maybe in Ghana, example, and then every tribe in Ghana has their own gods. During maybe war or something, if my tribe is able to conquer yours, now I will impose my god on you. So now it might not be metaphysical. It might be warfare. Anything could account for it, but you can't
But
claim it's metaphysical.
To just push back on. Okay. To just push back on that, right? The Jews were always like a minority. They were always being conquered, right? Like Assyrians, like Babylonians came, the Persians, right, and the Romans. These were all world empires at the time that fought a lot, right? And other like religions were like assimilated and changed, and all that. But this particular brand of like Judaism, which is now like Christianity, has passed through, right, all those things, and has been able to come at a point in time the central power, which is like the Roman Empire, which itself was a pagan like empire, and they believed in Zeus and the rest, right? So I'm not trying to say that I'm right or anything, but for me that in itself is evidence of something metaphysical, or something of a will that is pushing the events that are happening around the world.
Okay, so we are moving to our second question, and it's if a belief system
Pause.
did not include.
I wish I could get 1 minute to say something.
Like we can discuss
Okay.
after, so that we don't turn it
moderator.
into.
Okay, the moderator, with regards to what he said,
But we can talk after.
because the Jews are still a minority.
Yeah. But then the roots of Christianity is Judaism.
No, it's no,
Like Islam is Judaism.
no, the Romans. Christianity that we have now came from the Romans. The Jews themselves now still don't believe in this Jesus Christ that we are talking about.
Where I'll disagree with okay, sorry. Where I disagree with that is to say that for the first 100 to 100 years, the first Christians were Jews, and even among themselves there was a lot of controversy, fighting among themselves to decide whether we should accept the Gentiles to come in if they are circumcised or not circumcised.
Inadvertently, the facts are what we speak to. If you say yours is metaphysical, fine, I agree with you, I will not argue, but then the fact is that Jehovah was elevated by a king to that status, by a human
By
to that
human.
status.
Yes,
So-
and the point I'm trying to make is that there is a certain history behind that. That isn't the only thing that happened.
That happened.
Because Jehovah was being worshipped in two distinct kingdoms, right? In different kingdoms.
I need to say
Before,
something.
before even Hezekiah came on board.
Okay, let's move to our second question. If a belief system did not include faith, that's a god, and worship, would it be a religion?
No,
No.
Why?
because I think the definitions that they all give, they just point to an idea of something that he would say it was made by a man, right? The fact that it was made by a man, it behooves its like followers to have faith. That doesn't change the aspect that it was made by a man. If I would follow his argument like correctly, right? And if you go through every single like religion, I'm not like a subject like an expert again, but from what I know is that there's always that fundamental part of I don't have evidence of this, but I believe it and I'm supposed to follow it, which is a fundamental part of religion.
Okay.
All right. What I also feel is definitions have to be put in tone. Knowledge, belief, faith. All these things we have to have like where we all meet in their definitions. Otherwise, we'll be just throwing them here and there. I believe, I know, For me, I tried listening to a lot of people speak on belief, and I know belief is just like your good guess towards something you are trying to make and know of. You understand? And knowledge is something that you can actually pick on evidence and facts and how it proceeds. Okay, so when we talk about knowledge, we should put it in perspective. When we say we know something, then it means that we have made a very bold claim that we know. Okay, but then when we say we believe, then like the way our brother set us up on, that when you say you believe, it doesn't give me room to even heckle you so much, because I think you are attempting to, in the next few years, you might upgrade what you actually believe now. But then I feel with this question about a belief system including faith, a God and worship, I also answered no please, but then I want to say something. Faith is an essence, it's a universal essence. We act out faith involuntarily. The fact that we wake up and just get up, do things. But then the problem is that somebody has objectified it, that if I don't behave or idealize like this, what I am doing is not called faith. But faith is just moving based on what? Little evidences that you have. Like, I know that if I want to be a medical student, per the system that we are in, I should go to a certain school, go to another school, graduate, go to this school, go to medical school, do apprenticeship, and then I'm there. So when I do JSS, I know I've taken the first step. So it gives me that boldness or that faith to move to the next level. We practice faith everywhere in this world. Everyone practices faith. But then the problem we have with religion is religion takes hold of it and tells you that because you don't subscribe to my God or my deity, you are not a faith person. But then as a humanist, I'm always looking for that thing that is at the base for all humans. And I realize one thing, that we all practice the faith that religion postulates. We all practice it. So as people who seek to be free thinkers, we should move with the definitions well. When we talk about faith, it's not left to Christians. Even the atheists practice faith. They do it in everything that they are. Like, for you to have certain things set out, like you know that you have done this, that, and tomorrow you are going to work to achieve this, that. It's an act of faith. It is something that is even in the mammals, the animals. They practice it. So faith is a universal essence. It is not something that any God should lay a claim on, or it is not anything that any human should allow God to lay a claim on. It will do us a very, that's what set the bad precedent. Like, because you don't believe in Jesus, you are not a faith person. Because you don't believe in a certain deity, you are not a faith person. And that's what reduces our argument. So whenever I say I believe something, I'm also saying that I am attempting to be knowing the thing, but I'm not there yet. When I say I know, it means that I think I have come to that conclusion that I know. So it's knowledge. It's knowledge. And
I think that we need to be more conscious of the way we generalize things. He's saying that atheists practice faith. I'm atheist. I do not bother about faith that much, in that I know that I might step out today and anything can happen. I don't have a choice. Will I stay at home? No. Invariably, I have it at the back of my mind that something can happen. I don't have faith. I'm just living because I'm living. So it's not a question of faith. It's I don't have anything else to do. Good.
But you don't choose to bottle it up in the definition of faith. But somebody else have that definition to relate to humanity. So when I see maybe a religious person coming out with faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You understand? Then I'll be like, you see, the person in the church will be holding the Bible and be like, Pastor, preach. Like, wow. You understand? But then, if you look at the statement the person has constructed, the person outside that faith also practices it. You understand? The person acts on evidence and shoots to another step in life. That is the act of faith that we are talking about.
Can I?
Hello, let me just land, okay? If I want to be a medical student, okay, I need to go to GSS, go to SHS. You see, I follow a certain procedure. So when I finish SHS and I pass, there is that energy or that confidence to move to the next level. That is an act of faith based on the evidence of my SS results. You understand? We do that invariably. If you consider your life, people like just take any person's definition of faith and then weigh it with your life. You realize that you practice it. The only thing you don't do is maybe you don't attach a God to it. So when I'm saying that, I don't mean to exclude or try to bottle the atheist in an act of faith. I'm just trying to say the practice of doing something that helps you to have confidence to move. You understand? If I take my first step and I see that there is energy in my body, that's what helps me. If I step and I realize that my toe has something, you see that I will retract. You understand? So faith is practiced by everyone. So when I take the first step and I see there is energy, then I move the next step. That is act of faith. That's act of faith.
Okay.
So I want to address what he said. So I agree with you. Everybody practices faith.
Yeah.
Right. Personally, as a Christian, I find it, honestly, I find it offensive, but I try as much as possible to respect where you come from. Right. So let's use an English word, cleave. If I say cleave, right, everybody here would understand it in a particular way, depending on your level of like English. It would mean to cut something into two, right? The same word cleave means the opposite of that, to put two things together, right? This is a word, right? So now when a Christian says faith is evidence of things hoped for, there's a context to it, right, which is understood among Christians. So if you like mock it, then like it shows like a lack of respect or understanding to that context. You don't have to agree with it to understand it, right? The next thing being that we all practice faith, right? If you were selling your tablet, you said it's 3,000 Ghana cedis, right? I come to you with paper cash, right? Would you be willing to exchange it?
Like you are.
I'm asking you a question.
That if I'm willing to sell it and you bring the correct amount.
Say you were selling it, right? And you asked for $3,000, right? I brought you $3,000 in cash. Would you accept it?
I'll take it. Okay.
Now, if I wrote a check, right, of 3,000 like Ghana cedis or like whatever price you are selling it at, and I bring it to you, would you accept it?
Based on my subjectivity of business, knowing that checks are always bound, I will not accept check.
If you knew me, like I'm your friend,
Still, I will not accept.
you know that Jerome is a businessman. He does like
I do business a lot, so
yeah. But then
my backdrop tells me I won't accept.
okay. My point being that if you would accept that check, you're accepting it based on the faith that I have money in that account, not the evidence of me having money. So faith is not always based on physical evidence that you can see.
Oh,
right.
Please, those
But-
of you who do business.
Why can't it just be trusting the person that the
Trust
person
is faith.
would? Why should it be
Trust
faith?
is an act of faith.
Yeah,
We have an
oh,
agreement.
What he's
Pay
saying,
me.
those who do
Can you please let me land?
Okay.
Oh, can-
Yeah.
no, but can you please like let me land, right? So my point is, we made faith like decisions not based on facts or evidence, but faith. I have faith in you that you have money like in your account. I have faith that this currency you are giving me is not counterfeit. You don't have the evidence, but you choose to believe it anyway, not because of the evidence, but the faith you have in either the person coming or in the like instruments of payment that they are bringing.
Okay, come in.
Please.
Last contribution.
Yeah. One, I want to simply answer the question first. Then I address my issues with the comments so far. Now, a belief system which doesn't have a God or whatever will not be a religion to me, because what the basics of religion should be that it should be a way that men are trying to reach a certain God. Men are trying to please a certain God. So if there isn't any God aspect, it will not be a religion to me. The other thing I want to talk about is the mockery aspect. What you think is a mockery when someone finds what you think in a religion funny, right? I am not saying this with respect to only what you have said so far, but respect to what I see around that in Islam and Christianity. If you hold on to something and you think it's really sacred, and someone finds it funny and makes a mockery out of it, to me, I don't think that you should be worried. You should be offended. That's to me, because at the end of the day, the thing is only valuable to you.
No,
You understand?
Okay.
Yeah. Now, it is only if I come and use a certain force to try and obstruct you from saying what you want to say or doing whatever you want to do. That's when I'll have the. And the third point that has to do with the last thing you were saying, that check and cash. To me, check is evidence. That's what I've seen.
Okay.
Good.
So we move to our next question. And it's, do most people work out religion for themselves, or they simply follow what their ancestors gave them? How did you arrive at the religion or unbelief you are at right now?
Okay. You speak first.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't. Few people work out religion for themselves. Few people throughout their lives would realize that I'm following some. In my opinion, I'm following something that invariably I can live without. Okay, and probably because of so many factors, even poverty. If you are poor and you're trying to find your next meal, you wouldn't be thinking about these things at all. Okay, so few people just, in fact, people actually, it's religion. It's the more you want to get out, the more someone is trying to pull you inside. You see, so a few people work out religion for themselves.
How did you arrive at your religion or unbelief?
I even when I was a kid, right from when I was young, I never believed. I'm probably just like that. I come from a traditional background. My family, we are traditionalists or voodooists or whatever. So we had these rites. You'd go through all the rituals. And when we come to Accra, I remember my mom will draw you closer. You see, so, and when I go to school, you are. I remember on Wednesdays you have to do this compulsory worship thing, and then they ask us to pay collection.
In school?
Yes, in school, and I was always fighting because Missy can't sue me. Yeah, you pay. Yeah, I'm not lying. You pay every Wednesday. You pay. And I was always fighting with my teachers because they thought my mom gave me money and I wasn't paying. You know, that kind of thing. And when I come home, my parents are telling me, you don't tell your friends, you call your crew, my man can't said this is what happened. I remember one time I had permed hair, and then the next time I went to school and my hair was no longer there. And everyone was asking, Angela, where is your hair? Where is your hair? The truth was, we had one of our rights where I had to cut my hair, and I wasn't supposed to tell anyone the truth because I would have that tag of Samfo. So it made me think about why am I a Bronsam for doing all these things. So I started thinking from there. So it was more of a rebellious stance. And then one day I grew up, I don't know, and then I decided to just do away with everything because I have experienced traditionality and I've experienced Christianity, and trust me, they are all one and the same. They are all one and the same for me, in my opinion, and I can live without them. So yeah, here we are.
Thank you. I don't know where to start from, but my state now, I was born into Christianity. My grandfather was a Methodist minister here, and I was raised up in a Christian home, and even now, yes, I still identify with a church, and I have experienced prayers being answered by God, prayers that I have said. So with my state now, I call myself a Christian because I have had answers from God. I was taught to pray to a certain God, and I have had answers. But I have to be realistic with the fact that I have been able to see that there is a difference between spirituality and religion. That my walk in life, my fulfillment with God has rather been a spiritual journey than a religious journey. So if you ask me right now if I believe in most of the things we do in our church and all that, I will tell you no. But I think that human beings don't need religion, and we just need spirituality. That's what I think. And at the end of the day, yeah, that's who I am. And the first question was,
do people work out?
yes, do people work out their faith? I think in our time, 2019, no. We were all born into whatever we used to be, and where we are now. Look, I can tell you, I have many friends in church now who are closet agnostics. You understand? They don't really believe in what's happening in the whole church system. When you listen to the news and you watch what's happening, I mean, we are seeing a lot of things, and we are just tagging ourselves as Christians or Muslims for the sake of maybe our parents or our society. But I think that in the near future, when everyone is bold enough to say what's on their mind, I think we will all be out of this sphere.
On what he said about difference between spirituality and religion, I've also made that observation. I feel that some aspect of spirituality, just my opinion, is a little bit of science, especially traditional religion. You know, people forget how long humans have existed on this earth and processes we've been through, and the fact that something is not westernized doesn't mean it cannot be science. Do you understand me? So I feel that traditionally, black people or we Africans, we've had our own way with science. It might not be documented, I might not be able to even explain it well, but I feel like some aspect of our spirituality is probably science that has been shrouded in mystery. So maybe if you take the mystical aspects aside, we might have some head on, but I don't think it's anything mysterious. I think if people who have the ability to understand these things come clean, let us understand that this and this and this is what is happening, we might all understand and then realize that there's nothing mysterious.
Okay, okay. What you are saying about probably is actually not probably. There is actually evidence that blacks were at the forefront of science. In the scientific evolution in Europe was started by the Moors, M-O-O-R-S, and they were black people. They revolutionized Europe into these science kind of haven that we see now. So we are actually a hub of science too. So it's not problem. There is evidence to what you are saying. Okay, now my idea on how people work out religion, I think one, it lies in our social conditioning. Like we've been conditioned to feel that because of the way the world is very probable and it's very variable, then because we can't find one thing to pin ourselves on, if we look at it in a layman's point of view, then that cushions us to have a need for a higher power. So because of that, men since time immemorial have had the need to create gods. And even if you look at, let's say we are mostly privy to Bible history in Africa. So even the Jews, they were left for just a moment and they had to create a god to worship. You understand? You see, it's men. When the moment we can't explain, we can't have an understanding of the way the world is very variable, we tend to want to create something that we ascribe all the explanations to. And it is in that social conditioning that most of us have ourselves being religion prone. like religion sells for us. Like when I'm so down, I'm broken at it. I remember there was a time I lost my job for a whole year. I was so down. In fact, if you sold me any idea of upliftment, I would just grab it, because for some 2 weeks it will keep me. You see, so that is what keeps the social conditioning. The next thing is most of us practice the religion of our ancestors until there is an interruption. One, through wars, through association, socialization, and I feel for me as a humanist, it still brings us back to the fact that it is humanity that is just evolving around the statement of religion. It is never about any spiritual force or a god. Thank you.
Okay, so, thank you very much. So answer the first question: do people work out their own religion? I would say that the 3 individuals here, including 4 individuals here, including me, also you two, are evidence of this. She told her personal story of she's experienced both sides. She has chose not to. Right? He has a certain view where it's like, I don't agree with everything, but for the sake of social convenience, I am this. Right? When it gets to the point where there's evidence or something to show that it is not, then I'm not. So he has worked that out. The third gentleman also says that yes, human beings make our gods, like, and there's nothing more true than that. We make our own gods, currency, money. We assign value to things that are not tangible, right? Things that don't have any like value, we can assign it value and it will work. Like it's a similar way that people construct like a deity or god. We've agreed to do it, so we are doing it like together. So I believe that yes, we are all examples here of that people try and work out their like religion for themselves. Personally, how I came to like religion, I would say like every one of us here, we've had questions, right? Based on the education you have or the experience you have in life or whatever the case may be, you have questions that you ask, and it creates a problem for you when whoever you're asking cannot answer that question, especially if it's an authority figure or somebody who is supposed to know. So personally for me, being raised from a science background, I've learned all these things, that the earth is 4.5 billion years old, the universe is 13.8 billion years old. It was over a long period of time, evolution, science, all these things. I was reading them and I'm looking at, this is what I was taught, that the earth was created in 6 days, right? How do these two go together? And I couldn't rationalize it, so I became a bit agnostic, where it's like, I don't really believe this because the evidence that I'm seeing is different. And then it's only recently that in trying to understand or trying to research and answer the questions for myself, that you realize that the translation from Hebrew to English, it has some meanings can be lost in translation, right? So just to cut like a long story short, right, to the idea like of a virgin birth, to most people that would be like, that's impossible, that's not normal, right? But when you read the scripture, the word that was used there, like in virgin, was like alma. It means a young woman, right? So for you, if you are finding it difficult to believe that a virgin gave birth to a child, understanding that like translation, that a young woman will give birth to a man and that man will be the savior, that makes more sense and allows you to be able to understand, and for me, help me rationalize like the fact that, oh, this may be true. And then like for the other example with the age of the earth, right? The English Bible will say the earth was created in 6 days, right? But then in Hebrew, the word for day is yom, which can mean 12 different things. So if I am reading and I pick the particular verse that says, okay, yom means an indefinite period of time, then it's like, oh, okay, so the earth was formed over 6 indefinite periods of time. Then it makes sense for me as somebody who understands the science that the earth is 4.5 billion years old. So for me, that is that kind of rationalization that led me to come to where I am today and say that I believe this. You know, I don't have answers to everything, but I'm confident in myself that, okay, this, I don't have evidence for it, but what I've seen so far, it makes sense. I can choose to accept it. And I believe each one of us here has had experiences to choose either for or against. And that choice is paramount for me.
Okay.
Can I? Yeah. I also want to just ask you, in your do you know this translation of indefinite number of days or indefinite number of time periods have been also known by people since time immemorial? There have been, let me land. There have been Jewish scribes or people who have written about it, but then the religious postulate of the Christians maintained that it was explicitly 6 days. You understand? And that is what religion does. When there is evidence and knowledge. See, there was years back, like when I was in tech, Benny Hinn preached a message. He went on a sabbatical to Israel, where his land of death, and he preached a message where he even came to accept that there was that erroneous impression that the earth was created in 6 days. He accepted it and he mentioned it. He used the word that in the eternal beginning, when the word that's in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Benny said that in the Jewish translation, the raw is in the eternal beginning. It means that from the point where we want to tell the Christian story, we are starting from here. But then there is an eternal beginning. Benny Hinn explained it. So this knowledge has been there. Jewish scribes have written about it. All the writers who walked through the Jewish lands, in ancient Jewish land, have documented it, that this is what it means. But then the religion has maintained that it was 6 raw days. So that is the problem the humanists have. In the face of evidence and in the face of knowledge, why is it that religion has that tendency to be so fixed?
So
I'm not done. To be so
wait, you're asking me a question. If you talk too much, I'll forget the question. You said you're asking me a question.
Let me just land. Yeah, I'll land here.
Okay.
Why is it that they are so fixed that sometimes it has to take so long a time to come and do a simple agreement? An example is the Jehovah's Witnesses recently agreeing to blood transfusion.
That's actually fake news.
It's fake news.
It's fake
Yeah.
news.
It's fake news.
It's not true that they have agreed. Oh, then I'm wrong there.
Okay, so to just address your point, right? I am in Ghana. I didn't know that any Jewish scribe anywhere has experienced things like this. What I know is that somebody is telling me that before you can be a Christian, you have to believe the earth was created in 6 days, right? Now, I said, I can't believe that, so I'll not take you seriously, right? Then I asked myself, okay, in life, right, what do I hold on to? What do I believe in? I realized that I don't really have a center, right? I'm just going with the flow, right? And out of a need to ground myself in something, whether good or bad, personally, my understanding is do your own research, understand what does this mean, how does it work out, right? Nobody came to tell me from anywhere about this young thing. I prayed basically, and I was like, please let me understand. And I came across it this way, right? So then the question is, I'm not saying that you must believe what I'm saying. I'm saying that if I prayed, right, and I got an answer to the question that I've had since I was a child, then I can make that choice to be like, religion on its own is hard, it's difficult. But the first question that she asked, that do people rationalize their like religion, or do people like try like work it out? And I was like, yes, because what I'm seeing in front of me doesn't fit with what I know. But I've tried to work it out, and now I understand that, wow, this may actually be true, and I choose to believe in it.
Me.
Okay. So can we move to the next question?
If I have anything to say with respect to all this, I have had an honest discussion with a Roman Catholic priest about this 6 days of creation. In fact, the whole Genesis 1 to 11. And in all sincerity, if I am lying, then the Roman Catholic priest is lying. But he made me aware that the whole thing was a fable, that it was just an attempt by Jews to rationalize how the world was created. And he asked me a question: Ernest, you are smart, you have gone to school. Do you really think a snake spoke to a woman? Do you really think that there is a God up there, and as intelligent as he is, will or put a fruit in a garden where he knows human beings? He knows how he has created human beings. You
Please,
understand?
please.
No, I'm not saying that. That's what the Roman priest was just asking me. Yeah. So at the end of the day, yes, you have prayed and God has explained to you
I said God
the
has
meaning.
explained to me. I did my research.
Yes,
and I found answers.
Yeah, you
to
prayed
questions I had.
and you did the research.
Yes, and I had
Yes,
answers to questions that I had.
So the prayer didn't bring the answers. It was
I'm
the
just telling
research.
you my
He said
my
he
personal
has- so
experience.
based on his experience, he has the
I'm just
audacity
like this is my story. So it's
Okay,
like,
okay,
this is
Can I
where
say something?
I'm from to where I am. That's just it.
Yeah.
I'm not
So
saying that. Yeah.
Final.
yeah, so I'm just telling
So
you.
I the way the conversation is going, it feels more like we are trying to poke holes into Christianity. Let's bundle all of them into religion, because now it's about religion and religious beliefs.
Yeah.
We've not said anything about Muslims and Quran or anything, or Buddhism or any other religion. More or less, it feels like we are trying to attack personal beliefs. Okay, and then the thing with the Bible is it's heavily plagiarized. Okay, from mythology.
You are attacking
Listen, let me pause the English.
Okay,
Bible, no, it's heavily plagiarized.
Which part?
back it up.
With the creation story, you can find stories similar to it with the Babylonian Enuma Elish.
Where did Abraham come from?
I don't know. I'm not a Christian.
He came from that culture.
My dear, it's
So-
heavily plagiarized.
But then,
Mythology. You'd
you
find
can say
some
you have
history.
to. You just have to
you'd
back
find
what you
some
have said.
history
That's
in.
they will help you.
Listen, everyone should relax. You'd find some elements and some aspects of history in the Bible.
Yes.
Okay, because it's cultural, like I said. Small things came together to form the Bible as it is. That is why you'd always argue and you'd find something right and you'd find something wrong.
I agree with you.
You see. So that's what I wanted
But
to
then
say.
I also wonder if she says it's heavily
plagiarized.
she should give us.
I don't have.
She shared her
I
opinion.
could-
It's her opinion.
it's
Oh no,
not-
but then like at least one or two.
It's her opinion.
No,
so-
it's okay.
Otherwise, we'll be making a lot of extraordinary.
Okay, so
What does that mean?
let's
Wrap it up. Oh, okay.
so let's move to the next question, and it says that what characteristics are common in fundamentalist religious groups?
Characteristics.
Yes,
I
are
need you
common.
to choose who starts.
Ernest.
Yes. For every religion, whoever does not believe in that religion is going to hell. Now, there are except Buddhists. Oh, okay. For most religions I know, if you don't believe in that religion, you are going to hell. Now, this raises a question about which hell those who don't believe are going into, because every religion has their own descriptions of hell. But some think you roasted in fire, some think you boiled in soup, whatever. That's one thing. Every religion. Then two, every religion tries to portray itself as the way to God. Everyone claims to be the truth. That is one thing that every religion tries to portray. Yeah. So.
Okay, so when we say fundamentalist, it means those are the extremes.
Yeah.
Okay, now for most of us who have been to school and at least had the chance to opinion, we tend to have a very light-hearted conversation. But the extremes, one thing we have realized about the extremes is that they have one person, and that person is the one who hears from God. Whatever the person says, it's like even if you hear from God and that person says that it's not God, yours is zero. So one of the characteristics of fundamentalist religious groups is the exclusivity of the leader. It's the leader who hears. Even if you claim to have heard and the leader says, it means what you heard was an error. You heard from some motia somewhere. You didn't hear from the God you are serving. So that's one of the characteristics of them. So you realize that fundamentalism, those who just take religion to the extreme, they even have figureheads they worship. So when we see as people who are seeking free thought, and as we are growing up and we want to be able to detect when religion can become a canker, one of the first signs you can see is one leader who is ubiquitous. Like for him, He's the only person who does right by God. Even if he sleeps with somebody's wife, he will rationalize it. He will tell you that God wanted him to feel weak so that he can feel human for a while. This is a very evidential one. I don't want to mention names. Okay, yeah. He said that God made him fornicate so that commit adultery so that he can feel human. Because for a while he was feeling like he was near to God. So God wanted him to feel human. You see, and that is a sign of a fundamentalist group. Somebody who can corrupt people. That's one sign. So as free thinkers, this is the knowledge to stand out. It's what the major sign is one leader who has made himself the Obuntia. He is the only one. The second thing is a book. They always find a way to have a book and tell you that this book. Oh, they said we should give characteristics of fundamentalist group. So I'm listing my characteristics.
Okay, wait, finish.
So they have a book they call scriptures, or a set of instructions that they call scriptures. Okay, and from this book, you can't contest the book.
Okay, 1 minute.
And one sign of a fundamentalist group is their approach to that scripture is that you can't contest it on any ground. Whether you have evidence, whether you don't have evidence, whether you think it's a notion, you can't contest it. So that's another sign. Okay, then the third sign I realize is there are a lot of women. Please, it's my opinion. You don't get attacked yet. Don't get attacked yet. I will explain
That's
it.
his opinion. So
No, it's my opinion. I will explain it. For fundamentalist group, you realize that suicide bombing, when they want to do the classical suicide bombings, they send the Muhammad Attas, the guys to be at the forefront. But the serious area suicide bombings that are occurring all the time, they use women as a muse. You understand? If you like, look into these things. It's not as if I'm making an extraordinary claim. But for the figurehead bombings like the World Trade Center, they will send a bunch of guys. But then what you realize is they kind of take advantage of the social conditioning our women are in. You understand? Yeah. So they take advantage of our women, and we realize that our women are very religion prone. Not that women are in error for being religion prone, but it is their nature. Their nature is not to use
That is sexist.
No, it's not sexist. I'm explaining. Wait.
let him finish.
No, let me land. Ofivi, I have to land. Now, what they do with the women is, because of the way women naturally feel to use, they don't actually base evidence to nurture people. Wow. They feel that because you are human, okay, or you are their child, they nurture you irrespective of your fallibles and your weaknesses. You understand? So that thing makes women always open to help and lift people up. I don't know where that coding came from, but it helps humanity.
Jesus.
It helps humanity. Oh, you can't be me when you do this. Then you,
Oh my God,
but
I'm cold.
because of this, don't be cold. I'm trying to explain something. Now, because of this coding or social conditioning, women always are seen at in their numbers with this kind of fundamentalist groups. Don't, if you like, go and do the research about these fundamentalist groups. You will think it is guys who run them, but mostly, especially in France, the suicide bombings in France, there are so many women running the show, but then you will think it is just the guys who are playing the figurehead show. Now,
okay, can I
please, you can't interject. Let me finish.
He's gone on and on and on like.
He's gone on and
Let's
on.
make your
Now,
last point.
my last point, I've talked about, I made points before I came here. Let me finish them. You can rebut because I've rebutted some of
Wait,
them.
let me talk
Now, the
about
fourth
you,
one
because you're going to
is
take a long time.
um,
No, let me say
I
bye
promise.
first.
the contest with science.
I'll finish.
You understand? Now, fundamentalist groups are very quick to rubbish science. Whenever science brings something up, when they look at their text, they wouldn't even value the text in terms of the context. But then, because science, the text says that you should not do this, that, then it means that strictly they will not do that. And then, if science brings up there was a rule in the Eastern religions, okay, that you don't wear a fabric. Eastern religion is not just the Christians or the Jew. The Eastern religions have that rule generally, that you don't wear something that is made of different fabric or fiber. But then, after a while, science saw that there could be combinations of these different fibers, which gives us very nature, pro-natural feel. You understand? And science developed, you see something 60% cotton, 40% polyester and all that. But then, what you see that there is a part of the Christians who wear it no matter, because they think, oh, this is a gray. But fundamentalists are those who stick to that. So you ask for characteristics of fundamentalists, and I think these four spell them out very well. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry that I have to take us back. I'm really sorry, but what I said about the Bible being heavily plagiarized, thankfully, internet and Google. So if you read the Sumerian creation myth, the Enuma Elish that I talked about, and then the Epic of Gilgamesh,
yeah.
You see aspects of
Parallels.
You see even the flood story with flood. So you can't rubbish or throw the plagiarism aspect of Bible. That's why I also said that you'd find some aspects of history and culture in the Bible. So it doesn't mean that the Bible is false, but you cannot use the Bible to guide modern times. That is my stance. Sorry that I took it back.
But then also too, because I made that statement, so I wasn't saying it so that I'll rubbish it. I was saying that to make our conversation rich, if there was one or two examples, it will make it rich.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't mean to.
I didn't get your point.
Okay.
I went from a classical ages to an agnostic. So
I am itching to address you, so please. Okay. So one thing I'll take from your statement is that I'm not trying to attack you.
Okay.
But I feel to generalize that it is women who are involved. It is like it makes it.
You want to start from? Because
let me finish. Let me finish. Like you spoke a lot, so I'm just trying to track where exactly that.
Good.
Now these things that you've described, right? Other people would look at it and say that it's an example of a cult, right? All these things are classic examples of a cult, right? Now you realize that these cults do not inure to the benefit of the people in the cult, but to the one leader. That person is the one driving everybody like head to do evil things. Now these cults exist irrespective of religion. Jim Jones made all his followers drink DDT in the delusion that Jesus Christ was coming, right? Now that is clear, right? Now, and then the other part to say women have a certain coding that makes them, susceptible to these things. I would beg to differ. I would say that the reason why people are vulnerable to these things are the gaps in what they already believe, which somebody comes to exploit. It's not their sex, right? There were equal numbers. There were like a lot of women, but there were men involved with Jim Jones' cult who actually took guns, shot people who were trying to escape, and then killed themselves. Afterwards, there's no how do I put it? There's no relationship with your sex. Right now, to answer the question that you asked, can you please?
But then since
please let me finish.
Let me
finish.
Characteristics of fundamentalism.
Okay, so the characteristics of fundamentalism, that because of our times, right? The best example we can use is the Islamic fundamentalism, right? That we believe this. Anybody else that doesn't believe it, whether they are Muslim or not, we can kill them. We can do all these other things, and whilst we are doing them,
this is also erroneous. Islam doesn't see that.
Let him finish.
I'm not saying Islam says. I'm saying the fundamentalist aspect of Islam, right? The fundamentalist aspect of Islam, they would play on that and tell people that you can do this because this is what the Quran allows. But the moderate people will tell you that no, this is not what it says, right? There have been aspects of Christian fundamentalism where in some long time ago, like a certain pope told the Knights Templar that arm yourselves, go to war against the Muslim infidels who are living in the Holy Land and slaughter all of them, right? That is the pope telling his followers this. The question is, when you compare that to the actual teachings of the religion, can you like? Do you see like any like parallels? No, it's often twisted, right, to suit a particular agenda by one person, right? Now, where the point I'm coming is that you are conflating this with religion, like in general, a large aspect of religion.
Hello, can I come in?
Okay.
Please, they made the thing was very clear. Fundamentalists. Okay. The fundamentalists. When we say fundamental, we are looking at the extremes. People like maybe me.
Yeah, but
I will say hello. Let me also. I will say I'm
made a statement that I've forgotten, but
you are
it was like generally like most people are like this.
But then for us who have the hindsight of a certain knowledge, we are able to judge all. So we are not fundamentalists per se. We know that when I go to my room, I'll pray to my God. But we just talk. But then fundamentalists are those who are militant with their approach to what they believe. For them, you cannot marry a Christian because you are a somebody else. You understand? Those are fundamentalists. So we are looking at the nature of those people.
I understand that.
Okay.
Right.
So if we were saying that we're looking at the nature of Christians in general, I wouldn't have made some of these points.
Yeah. Okay. So you spoke a lot, right? There
were 4 points.
There were several things that you were explaining, you're expounding.
Okay.
There were several things that you said. For example, one was like women, like in general, right? Which are like discriminated. But there was one particular part that I can't like remember. But then what I
if you're worried, you should remember.
I can tell you how it made me feel. Like in that moment, right? But like we've spoken a lot, so let's just
okay.
So that we don't waste
The
time.
next question.
Please, one key fundamentalism I think we should talk about are those who will watch their children or their siblings die because they don't want them to accept blood transfusion in the name of religion. That's also very key, and it's happening now.
Okay. So we are moving to our next question. Should religion be taught in state schools? Why and then why not? If so, in what form?
I think that religion should be taught, but then not just one religion or maybe two. I think people should be taught all religions because there's always something we can learn from all religions. That's what I think.
In what form should it be?
Maybe extracurricular, maybe where students have to choose if they want, but not imposed on them.
Yeah. I think that everything that religion has ever tried to achieve, or is even trying to achieve now, that the good aspects of it can be found in other books, especially our constitution. If you take our constitution, every good moral or good idea of being a citizen is contained in there. And it is only the constitution which I think everyone in Ghana agrees to. I mean, at least we all try to agree to. So I think that religion in schools is not necessary. Parents or whoever can do that, but at the end of the day in school, let's teach them the constitution. When they go home, they can do their other thing.
Okay, for me, a big yes. Religion must be taught. Because as a humanist, knowledge must be given anyway, anyhow. That is how. Now, the argument is when you give knowledge to a certain group, they might corrupt it. But then what doesn't corrupt on this earth? What doesn't have a corruptible tendency? Every one of us, everything that is on this earth suffers entropy. If it is not being utilized, there is decay. There is nothing that is
Atrophy.
Entropy.
What you're saying is atrophy.
You said
Atrophy.
it's entropy. I did some thermodynamics, okay, so
Okay. From
no, maybe there is a variation to the definition, but then I wasn't misusing the word.
I'm not saying I'm misusing. I was trying to understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Are you saying
But entropy?
atrophy? Because like what he says is what atrophy is.
Okay, let him
Okay.
explain. You explain.
Okay, so entropy
not a
is
physicist.
like a law
Chemistry.
about everything in this earth or on this planet. That if you leave it without utilizing it, it will decay.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Do we all understand that?
It's limited, but I want everyone to have an idea of If you want to go the science, we will delve in. But then, so for me, knowledge should be transmitted anyway, anyhow. I don't see why you can tell me. If you can discuss anything with anyone, I'm open for it. But as to the form in which it should be, number one, I want first and foremost a comprehensive breakdown of what a belief is. Because we misuse that word belief. We make people say when they believe, they actually say something, like I believe. You understand? We actually make people feel that when they say I believe, they are actually doing something. But please, belief is just an attempt to get to knowledge. So at a point in your life, you believe something. A few years, religion has changed so much. If we take them, they have varied their views based on what they believe in the 15th century. In the 15th century, they were killing people for believing something small that is not theirs. But now they won't do that. And they had popes who oversaw the Spanish Inquisition in the 15th century. So these are men who were supposed to have known the word or known the scriptures. But yet still, they decided that they believe that you must die for a different opinion. So don't make anyone feel so goofy about using the term belief. So our children should be trained in differentiating these little words. Faith, belief, knowledge, and all those things should be cleared out. Secondly, the historical timelines of all religions must be taught. The historical timelines. The religion of the Yoruba people, the worship of Ifa, it predates Eastern religion 6,000 years. Go and look into it. Next time when we come here, debate it. 6,000 years before even Eastern religions decided to show up. All over the world, people were worshipping Ifa, which originated from the Yoruba people. You understand? So, because we are not privy to these things, we make it look like the known gods are so special. But if we look at the timeline, 6,000 years, the world saluted Ifa. And the faiths we have now, have they even crossed 6,000? They haven't crossed. So what is making them, they feel they are exclusive because of the days we are in and the hindsight of religion that we lack. So let our children know a historical timeline of religion. The third thing is the principles and structure of all known religions. I didn't play with this meeting because when you gave me the script, I really, every evening when I close from work, I do something.
I didn't get the panel today. I had time to prepare.
The principles and structure of all known religions. Now, see, if you take Christianity, they say that you have to be spiritual. Now, when you are spiritual, you bear fruit of spirit. Now, the fruit of spirit in the Bible, in Galatians 5:22-23, they list humanist virtues. Love, peace, joy, tolerance. They don't talk about shebalabalaba. That is not a fruit of the spirit. But you see, because we have been trained wrong, that if you speak in tongues and you have that aura of, you understand, then you are spiritual. But if you are spiritual, tolerance is one of the things. Love, peace. So the Bible is actually teaching us the right thing. But men have stood tall and they are negating those things. Because if you say you are spiritual, the fruit of the spirit must show. Because how can you build a tree of spirit and then I'm not seeing the fruits? Okay, so the principles and structure of all religions must be taught our kids. The fifth one is definition of spirituality. Our definition of spirituality.
What's in the first one? That's the
Our definition of spirituality. Okay, our definition of spirituality. We have a very overbloated definition of spirituality. The voice, then this man is spiritual. You understand? But spirituality is basically every human being's essence. And the need to grow in it is what makes you more spiritual. But so the fact that religions want to arrest the term spirituality doesn't make them the repository or the big boss of that way. We should let them know. You see, I'm a humanist. If these definitions are put in well, I will see you as an atheist and love you. Because I know that spirituality means more than an addiction to God concept. I know that your betterment is what is key. Because even in my 60 something percent dominated God concept, I know that love is at the key. You understand? And the last one, the humanist credits from all religions. They must be taught the humanist credits. So if you are teaching them whatever religion, they should be able to pull out the things that makes humanity better. So the teacher or whoever is involved must be able to, oh, Islam says this, that, and that. But then we see that for this unique thing that Islam has, it can make humanity better. Then we pocket that one. For this thing that Zoroastrianism has, it can make humanity better. We pull out that one. Because if they are in a school and the school is supposed to be universal, then we should take all the universal values and make them what? Practice them. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let me just answer. I respect him for preparing so much. I wish I had a similar time to prepare and also write down my notes. We may have had a more constructive discussion. But to answer the question, should religion be taught in schools? It depends on the kind of religion that you are describing. If it's taught as an academic pursuit, right? Okay, we are in Ghana, so because we are majority like Abrahamic like religion, then you would teach like Christianity, like Judaism, and then like Islam. Not from the point of indoctrinating students.
That's indoctrination.
Teach them about, not teach them the religions. You teach them about the religion. What do these people believe in? Why do they believe in these things? To help children have an understanding, right? Where it gets to the point of questions, right? We should be able to get to the point where it's like, it is easy for the children to discuss that I do not understand why this is this way, but can I respect it, right? Like for example, the CSC that costs so much, like Buhara, like in the country, I believe it should have been taught because it teaches you to be able to look at another person as a human being and understand them. So that should be the purpose of teaching like religions, that I am different from this person. Can I respect them? Can I understand them? Can I get where they are coming from, where they are going? And can we all live together in peace without arguing too much?
We are moving to the next question. It says, should prayer or church services be obligatory in school?
No.
Why and why not?
No, you should keep the school education environment more realistic.
It says, should prayer or church services be obligatory in schools?
So no, you shouldn't. In my opinion, you shouldn't even. Don't even. No. Just keep everything real. You should teach children to be more realistic. We have more realistic things to look at than prayer. So when you go home, you can pray. But I'm still for teaching most religious what's in school, but extracurricular. But then nothing should be imposed on children. Okay. That's
so
what I think.
Depending on the kind of school it is, if it's a Catholic seminary that is offering secondary education, right, you know that when you go to that kind of school, things are going to be imposed on you. You are expected to behave according to certain rules. Don't send your child there, right? People should have an understanding of this is what is going to happen if I send my child to this school, so that if my child doesn't fit in, like for example, your like traditionalist like background, they won't be faced with the plight of having to say, oh, like I cut my hair because of one reason when they were observing. Pardon?
You said that's obvious.
Oh, just my opinion, an obvious opinion. Okay, yeah. Oh, so okay. So like let me just land. But we shouldn't force it in schools. But we should make parents who are sending your child to these certain schools to know that if I take my child to this school, they'll be obligated to do some things. Do I want that for my child? No. But I don't think it should be forced like generally. But if a school decides to enforce it, I don't think you should try to punish them for doing that because it's their background that they're coming from.
Okay, now from my point of view, I think that yes, we should have church service and other religious services, if only we are going to approach it from the humanist point of view. In fact, I came here this morning as a certain way, and I think I am understanding who I am from what he is saying, from his presentation. because I think I am.
So it's had influence on you.
Yes, like I think along that way. So I think that yes. So if we have church services, let's go ahead, let's have it. But at the end of the day, we should see the human point of view in everything we are doing. You see, I tell people that most of the things, in fact, everything that Jesus taught when he was here on earth was not to Christians, because the term Christian even came way after he was gone. Most of the things that he taught were to people who maybe were Jews or whatever. The concepts in there, he was asking a simple question: how can you say that you love a God above and you don't love your neighbor? That thing is key. How can you say that what you are giving to God above, God that you don't see, and your neighbor is hungry and you're not feeding what the person? What the sermon he gave on the mount, what the beatitudes that we call it. There are many virtues in there. And look, the first time I read those stuff, I was like, hey, so those who go and kill people at war to fight for their country, are they doing right or they are doing wrong? Because it says, blessed are the peacemakers. And at the end of the day, UN soldiers say they are going there to make peace. So are they doing good or they are doing bad? All those things. But at the end of the day, I think the element of humanity, what we were talking about, what the CSC, which was going on now, like I'm saying that, look, if we have a society where we will all learn and understand that we are different, the fact that you are believing in this and whatever doesn't mean that you should attack someone who doesn't believe whatever. Life will go on. So if church services are going to be that way and are going to be taught human values, the fruit of the spirit, I think I'm okay for it. And as for prayer, one thing I have to say about prayer is the fact that a Muslim can pray and say he had answers. A traditionalist can pray and say he had answers. A Christian can pray and say he had answers. Now, one thing I'm analyzing that all of them can say that they have answers to every prayer they make, which means that the God or whoever is out there, has it, but at the end of the day, there is something about words. So if anything we are seeing about fruits of our prayers, I think it has to do more with the words we speak. That's why in the book of Proverbs it says that death and life lie in the power of the tongue. So I think that there are some good virtues that we can learn from church services. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
So
he has a lot to say. So
Let me finish. Mine is short. Mine is short. So I feel like what he said about words coming out from our mouth, I think it's all unsubstantiated. It's all words are words. I'm sorry, but we shouldn't take them for facts. Words are words. People speak words.
it's his opinion.
If
Allow him
words
to
carried
talk.
anything, some presidents wouldn't be alive, right? They are words. And also, I think instead of prayer, we should introduce more empathy. Teach children about empathy. I think we would get better results than prayer.
how to brush their teeth.
Yes, that's all I want to say. So apologies.
No, don't need to. You don't need to
apologize.
Now, there's one thing that I have to say to rebut it, that what you said about if words were true, people would have been dead or whatever. I think that for me, it doesn't have to do with evil wish that you are making. You see, as you maybe you are wishing bad for someone, it's about what a person is saying in his mind, what his thoughts have formed. You see, I believe that there is human energy, what we wish for. So you are praying that for him, but I don't know what he is also praying for himself. You understand? So at the end of the day, his words, let's judge him by his words. If he said he wanted to be president and he's president, let's give credence to whatever. And I believe that faith, as we have what described, Jesus said one thing, that if you can have faith as small as that of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. He didn't say if someone has that faith for you. He said you yourself. So I feel that in as much as we exercise faith everywhere we go, you understand, in everything we do, the words we speak, that gives us that condition to move on in life. So yeah, maybe to me words have worked for me, maybe to you no. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's
Nene.
Okay, so please, he said I have a lot to say.
seen
Gemini knows I'm very passionate
Yes.
about these things. Okay, from the few who know me, like Mabuna and Jenny, Gemini, they know I'm very passionate about these things. So if I have a platform to speak, I won't waste it. Okay. So please, not about having a.
I'm just looking at your screen.
No,
now.
but then there are times I need. Sarcasm is not accepted here.
It's a joke. Relax.
Alright, I'm not relaxed. Alright, now me, I was an
He's
SU
offended by
president
that.
in John Terry Memorial when I was a young boy, SU president, and we had prayer warrior group. Because the school was a Christian school, we were given a lot of laxity to practice this our different groups in school, and I realized how we were very verbose with our prayers. We can meet in a room, and by the time you see, some of the ladies and the guys will hit ground and start running throughout the school in the name of Holy Spirit has fallen on them. And you see, as of that time, we felt we were really, we were the people of the time. We were the people of the time, and I was the president. I was the one leading. I would say I feel a rushing wind, and it was in the night. It was in the night, and if we open the windows, after a while, rushing wind, and
Good.
you see, what I'm saying this because maybe I might be wrong, but then we cannot measure how people will extend their
There were
practices.
consequences. This would be big.
Because it was a harmless prayer
You
meeting.
get me?
And then all of a sudden it shoots up into different things. We have somebody saying that he has seen some lamps flying over the school. And we have to go and see the director and tell him about it. And the director was also very religious. And he will give us, he will tell SU, this thing will get special treatment. What I am saying is that we cannot measure. If we say people should be having prayer meetings in school, we can't measure what they are going to be doing next out of prayer. We know how healing, or Jesus talked about healing. Okay, we use Christianity a lot because we are in a very dominant area. So don't say we are attacking, no. It's where our worldview is. Okay, the culmination of our worldview. So we have people who, in the Bible, we saw how these things went off. All of a sudden, in the 70s, coming to the 80s, we have evolutions of things in Christianity. We have people saying that Ireland was transformed by prayers. We don't know, some man here in his group went to somewhere and said they prayed for the land, and it coincided with the land's development. So they have every audacity to say that Ireland was changed with prayers. Fair enough. But then over the years, we can see what people are doing with this prayers and all that. So let us not allow that in our schools, because the things, the practices of religion, they change and they vary. Something as simple as giving, you realize that it is being interpreted in so many ways. Prayer, somebody will say that if you pray, you don't lie down. But another person who is in Church of God or Church of Christ says that prayer must be solemn. And he believes that, and he works with that, and he is also very successful. So the thing is not about belief, as I've always been saying. It's about the need to see your life through, and that is humanity, survival. Okay, so let us not allow that in our school. And if anyone asks us, tell the person that from a humanist point of view, you can never measure what prayer or those kind of singing activities will turn into. So because you can't measure that, let them go and do it in the centers outside of school. But in school, let us train them in the principles. Thank you.
Okay. So we are moving to our next question. And it says, are there any truly non-violent religions? And how easy is it to corrupt religious beliefs?
Are there any
Truly non-violent religions.
If I begin, looking at the history of religions, we can't isolate what the principles of power from religion. Now, in order for any authority, any principality to stand, there has to be violence. You can't establish authority without creating fear. You must have everyone let's say agreeing to what you are bringing on board, either by willingness or but by force. So if we observe the history of the Abrahamic religions, I think we can't say that any religion doesn't have any element of violence. And in fact, I mean, let's face facts here. We are taught to love our enemies, but still the kind of warfare that we engage our enemy Satan in at church, I don't think it's anything nice or anything solemn. So as for Buddhism and those other humanitarian ones, I think they are quite easy. I don't know of their history, if they also killed anyone or whatever.
How is it to corrupt?
Yes. Now it is easy to corrupt any religion, because when we are dealing with things that we don't know but believe, and you are also told that allow yourself to be controlled by the spirit, there is an element of things not being logical in any religion. They will tell you that faith is not logical. You can't use your brains to understand God. The ways of God are higher than men. So even when you are going wrong, because you have been told that no, I can't use my brains to understand anything I'm doing, you will go ahead and at the end of the day take money from people or maybe kill people and all that, and think you are doing God a favor because you are not supposed to understand God. You understand? So I think that religion with the element of the trait that you will not understand everything you do has the high ability of being corrupted. Yeah.
Okay, so I understand what he's saying. To just build on what he said, personally, my atheistic stance is simple. I will not tolerate something that I cannot engage with on a logical level. So if it's about the belief in God, if I cannot engage with God, before that, let me ask a question. I need to ask a question. So if God appears today, supposing he is real, and he appears today and he says, fine, I am God, I am your father, let us talk, on a logical level, would he cease to be God?
No.
Would we call him Kwekumenu?
No.
So why is he hiding?
In fact, to buttress what you are saying, in Isaiah 11,
So why is he hiding?
also, there were 7 spirits of God mentioned, and 5 of them have got to do with the mind. So I have a pastor, Bishop David Mills there, told me that one of the signs of a very good person who is having a good relationship with God is the effectiveness of the person's thinking. So thinking and logic is in religion. You see, the thing is, people define logic out of context. Logic has context. If we take the Christian setting, they have the logic they follow. So if I want to enter into that matrix, I have the logic I will follow to be a Christian. So let's not make it like logic is so out of the place. They do that logic thing that it doesn't follow logic, because they know that when there's a confluence of logics, they might have to concede on certain things, and they are not ready to do that. So that is why they tell you that they have their separate logic. So I'm buttressing your point that it's not as if logic is enemy to them. In fact, logic is what they use. Because religion, if you follow them, they have their structures, they have what they think for. Every religion has its absolutes. Okay, an absolute is something you can't contest. So in math, 0 is an absolute for numbers. Okay, I'm a math teacher. 0 is an absolute for numbers. So we take our positive and negatives from 0, your direction from 0. So in Christianity per se, Jesus is absolute. So whatever you want to measure, the debate ends on him. Every religion has.
So it's what you're saying is contextual. I'm talking about logic, as in logic. 1 + 1 is 2 kind of logic. I understand what you're trying to say. If Jesus Christ is absolute,
we can apply
so logically,
same logic. In math, logical reasoning is a big course I did, and it's a subject to context.
I understand you.
Wait, let him finish.
No, I'm not
Yours
trying
is
to say.
contextual.
Yeah, logic in
finish.
itself cannot live outside context. In math, we
There's
have
always a context,
our
exactly.
in math we have, in let's say business they have
Certain logic,
the
yeah.
certain regulations that they follow for you to make business sense.
Accounting.
That is what might fall into their logic. In what agree, they have a certain set of ways of thinking, and that is what makes their logic. So in agree, a certain A plus B is equal to C might not be the same for economics. You get it? So logic is not something that is alien. Christians have their logic. You understand? It's just that when they try to generalize the term logic and make it look like logic belongs to science, logic is what humans use to rationalize everything that they do. If I am eating banku all the time, and it's because of the banku, I'll rationalize and say that the banku has nutrients, and say all the things concerning banku to make banku good.
Sorry, please, 1 minute.
Yeah, she doesn't-
With respect what she said, God is everywhere. If I see you, I've seen God. If I do you good, I have done
Good to God.
Good to God. I think that's what Jesus tried to explain to us, that we don't need to worry about whoever we think is God. He is saying that
Act it out.
if I am hungry, feed me.
Yeah.
If I am in jail, come and pay me a visit.
Yeah.
If I need clothes, give it to me. As you do it for your fellow human being, you have done it for God. And to me, that is what a summary of the belief I have. That the humanist belief I have, and it's all engulfed in love. That's it.
But you can. Why should you do good expecting reward from a higher entity?
It's
Why
choice.
can't you just do
Perfectly
good?
choice.
So
That's the problem I
having
have.
said
Why
that,
can't you just do
no.
good?
He's doing it for.
I'm not saying that you should do it for. I'm not telling you that. Jesus said, if you give to me, you are going to God and all that. And I know he also added that you will have a reward in heaven and all that. But I mean, let's do it.
What is in front of you?
What's in front of us?
Okay.
Have you answered the question? She hasn't answered up. Has she?
It's like, I don't have an answer. So
But then
let's-
I'd like to answer the question. But then, can you please rephrase it?
Says that are there truly non-violent religions, and how easy is it to corrupt religions?
Okay, so I would say every like religion has an aspect of violence behind it, because at a certain stage we are expanding our kingdoms. We come across like a certain kingdom, we don't agree what they believe in, let's kill them, and then force their people to believe what we believe. It happens throughout like human history. Now that is an aspect of the religion that you can't avoid. It is there. But then going forward to the next question, can religion easily be like corrupted? Yes, it is. We see it every single day. Like Obinim that you spoke about.
I didn't mention his name.
But like Obinim, Christians themselves see him, and you can see that this is wrong. You know, you are not part of that. But
Because some
I'm just maybe I'm generalizing, but I mean like
Hey, you
some
didn't want me to jingle.
I'm human. I'm sorry. So some Christians will see that, or most Christians now can see that, and then point it out that this is wrong. Most like Muslims can point out that this thing that these like terrorists are doing is wrong. Because as one Christian friend told me, they said that if you kill one single human being, it's like you've killed every single like person. But that rule is there. Do not kill someone, right? But people are able to convince people to refuse what they see or what the rule should be, to go and kill like others. The basic rule of like Christianity: do unto others what you like them to do unto you. But there's a certain point in time when Europeans went to the South Americans and wrote like a document in Spanish that they can't read, and said that if you don't convert after this number of days, we are going to kill you and slaughter you. And they did it, not because of any direction from God, but because of resources, right? And it was more expedient for them to clear them away. Is that in line with what Jesus Christ taught? No, it has been corrupted to serve a selfish aim of somebody somewhere. Yeah.
Okay, so just to pick up from what he's saying, that Jesus said he came to fulfill the law, not to change it or like digress from it. From my Bible school days, they told us the fulfillment is give it better explanation or give it a good context. So I think if the Old Testament and the New Testament are that sacrosanct, that means can't touch them, and they follow the same thoughts, then I think what you are saying sounds nice. but then it is not something Christianity can boldly say that they have. Like if you look at it, they have killed so many to further their cause. You understand? And then over time, even in the New Testament, there was a time.
Corruption.
There was a time, and all these things were what God inspired by the people who said. You understand? And they were not just mere figures. Like let's say me Nene, who is sitting somewhere that I said that, hey soldiers, God said let's. No, they were people who were pontiffs, big people who were respected, have a lot of experience in hearing from God, and they gave those orders, and the people followed. So when right now we come and say that they have corrupted it, we tend to make it look like the thing is so pure, and then somebody has come to meddle with some parts. But the thing, classically, religion has a very violent tendency. You understand? Hello, I will land and then you come. It has a very violent tendency from where it came from to where it is going. Now, even the violence, we do it classically. We don't do it. You understand? But to say that somebody cannot marry because of association, all those things are subtle violences. No matter how you fall in love with a Muslim lady and you tell your father, it will be war. I know people who have to run away from Ghana just to marry, just because the father will not accept. My own sister, because she fell in love with Moro, a Nigerian Muslim, had to leave Ghana for like 3 years. Because my father will not have it, my mom will not have it. It's not as if Moro was a bad man. Moro is an educated scientist, very good guy, if you are with him. But then religion is saying that. So when you make it look like the thing is pure and then somebody has come to meddle, the way it is structured, it is meant to be corrupted.
Question.
No, I will land and then you question. Okay. It is meant to be corrupted. Now there is this religion among the Tibetans. I think Jainism. Okay, and Jainism, I heard. That's what I have heard. That they built the religion on no God concept, and then it preaches from violence. So I think that will make an exception because I haven't read so much about them, but they said those are the ideals. So I feel that there is an exception. That there is a certain religion who preaches non-violence, and you know they got it from their Buddhism because Buddhism is a major one there. Now about religion being very easy to corrupt, I have a few points. They are just 3. Now the reasons why religion will be easy to corrupt: it is man-made and it suffers the corruption of men. Number 2, the way religion objectifies spirituality, like you have to be so some way. If you're a lady and want to hear from God from you don't have to wear short skirts. You don't have to. You understand? Religion objectifies spirituality. So in that way, it just makes a few people have something to say. But then, see, we are all humans for a reason. The intelligent design is in all of us. No matter how corrupt a prostitute is, when she's lying down in a room, a sex worker, okay. Oh, a prostitute is derogatory. Yeah. Okay, I didn't know that. Is there a derog in the dictionary? You know, the dictionary puts derogs by. Okay,
prostitute is a derogatory term, right?
How you feel there, because they'll put derog there.
Sex worker.
When it's derogatory. All right. So, for a sex worker, yes. You understand? When she even goes to bed, she thinks about her life. And even if you have conversations with some of them, if you have had a chance of roaming about like me, where you've had a chance to sit down and talk to some of them, it makes so much sense. But then you are telling us that because of you, a certain description that you fit, you are the spiritual person and you are making some God sense. Which, see, if we don't educate our children or ourselves out of the definitions of spirituality, we will tend to be falling for them. But we know what they do. They had a dossier, 150,000 dossier of child abusers. And in the end, they just came to apologize. But they are the doyens of morality and all that. You understand? So it means that belief system thing, it's not the underlying factor. Man is corrupt, and if you give man the chance, man will corrupt everything. The third one, oh, let me talk.
I've forgotten the question I want to ask.
That's because you are not putting it down.
I'm following. Then
If
it's
I want
like
to ask anything, I'll put it down.
We have just 1 hour left.
All right. So now the last one is
You are
the
leaving.
exceptional ability of religion to condition its followers to believe incredible stories. The fact that somebody can believe that all the animals in the world were packed somewhere for a flood to occur in the whole world is very, very nice. To have adults try to rationalize this. The fact that so many stories among other religions, you wonder how people try to rationalize. If you can have a system that can condition people to believe very incredible stories, then please, you can tell them anything and they will follow you. So that is one underlying factor. Religion is made to corrupt. It is not as if it is pure and someone is trying to meddle with it. It is made that way. Thank you.
Okay.
Please, only 1 minute. Please, the element of corruption, I'm quite confused about it because right now here in Ghana, we were here and the Methodist Church in the UK legalized homosexual marriages in their churches. Now, to the humanists, we will say they have opened their eyes.
what should be?
But to the Christians here, we will say that they have corrupted religion. So now the definition of what corruption is, I think, is quite relative as to where you stand. Yeah.
Okay, so I had a question.
So
No, but I had a question for him. I just
oh no, but then
It's fine. Let's move to them.
I just want to say this quickly, because the questions are coming from me. So I just want everybody to be clear on this. It's all this to be edited out. So corruption is the ability to change one thing from its state to another. That's basically it. So if at first you believe that homosexuality was a sin and now you don't, that is a corruption. Whether it's
it must be a higher standard to a lower standard.
No, there are no standards.
it's a change from the original
It's
purpose.
just a change from your.
So just to address what he said, that Christianity itself is corrupt.
Yes, and before you get to that,
Okay.
we're supposed to do 1 hour. We are doing 2 hours now.
Wow.
The editing difficult for us. We said you should keep your answers concise. And there's been a lot of repetition of the same ideas. So please try and keep your
Short.
Okay, so let's move to the next question. What positive things do religion do today? If you have just a minute for all of this. What positive, yes, a minute.
Just a minute.
I feel like whatever sorry, I didn't know you were going to speak. I feel like whatever positive things religions do today, we can still do them without religion. That's it. So please carry on.
Okay, so
Okay.
one extraordinary organizational skills. Religion has that. We can't take it away from them. Okay, the way they are able to organize people is exceptional. I think everyone should learn it and apply it to whatever we do. Religion has a very nice and effective way of organizing people. They also are a faithful force in governance. And I think one way or the other, it's not everyone who is in tune with it, but then it helps. It is able to get governments in check at a point. You understand? When government wants to further some things and the religious body starts to make, like especially in Ghana where we are a lot, the religious bodies are a lot. When they try to shake the whole place up, realize that the politicians are forced to retract. And then the fourth one, infrastructural development. They have done a lot in terms of that. So we should give them credit for that.
The infrastructure development, it's a bit controversial. I feel the infrastructural development side is to fuel their religious agenda.
I made that point even here,
Okay.
but then since
So it's
It's a
not
benefit.
entirely a positive.
But it's positive.
it's
Let's-
positive.
it's still
After all,
positive.
the
It's
things
selfish.
are there.
Thank you.
But it has a
helping,
benefit
yes,
for most people.
But then at least we
But it has a
have
benefit. If they didn't do it,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have that benefit. So.
to push the agenda. So it's
Yeah.
okay, it's not helping them.
Yes, religions, especially with mine, I can speak of mine that as a Christian, following some one or two good pastors, I think if you have anyone who knows how to tap the positive ideas and inspirations from the Bible, or to shape your life, or to give you some motivation or some inspiration in this life, I think it serves a purpose to lift people up from maybe where they are broken, or they are were giving up on life and all that, to take them to the next place, to the next level. As I said earlier on, most of the things which were taught, the good lessons in the Bible, are not even to Christians. They are to anyone who is willing and is able to learn and adapt. Yeah.
For in 1 minute, I'll just say, for me, from my experience, the most important benefit is providing a sense of like community. As human beings, we are gregarious creatures. We like to fellowship with people who think like us, are the same like us. So that's one benefit that any like religion will give you, like irrespective of like Christianity or anything. Now, in our times, we are seeing real pictures of like mental health like issues. You know, there's a certain anguish that our whole like society brings to us, that your whole week is bad, but you know, on one particular day in the week, you are fellowship like people who think like you, who are just like you. It gives you that benefit of sense of like community. It can help you where it's like you suffer from situations where it's like you are lonely, you are depressed. You know, that alone has some benefit. Not 100%, but it has some benefit. So I would say, in my opinion, that's one of the greatest like benefits of religion.
And I also think what he said is trying to build on what he said. I feel spirituality and religion is like therapy for Africans, because we do not regard mental health at all, from my observation. And from being an atheist, it feels lonely sometimes, and it's quite dangerous when you feel you have no backup, because you know you have no backup and you are aware of the reality of things, and it gets scary sometimes. And then religion fills that void. If it gives you that sense of, you know, understanding, belonging, you have this sense of, oh, I'm not alone, it's going to be all right. Yeah, all right. But being an atheist, I know sometimes it will be all right, but sometimes you see, it's scary. So
you agree with what I'm
religion?
saying?
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying.
Thank you very much.
So to our next question, what negative things do religions do today? 1 minute.
Negative. Let me start with that so that everybody can else. So the kind of thinking where it's like, I'm better than you because I believe in this set of rules. I think that is the most pertinent evil that you can see like in it. You don't think like me, so I hate you. I don't like you. I'll do everything in my power to make you uncomfortable. For me, that is the glaring one that you can see. That's one of the bad things that religion in general brings. Yeah.
Marginalizing minorities, especially the LGBTQIA plus community. People, sometimes I hate being Ghanaian because of the way we treat the LGBT community. And it's all, you speak to somebody who is homophobic and the person says, oh, God says, and the Bible says, it's so one of the negatives of religion, and the way we treat certain sensitive issues covered around morality, like what he said about prostitution, sex worker, and the way I had to correct him. Morality is subjective. Sex workers, I believe, should be given their due respect because they are sex workers. They work and they should be protected. Okay, but when you have religion playing on these issues, you have people who engage in sex work, and then you can kill them, and then nobody is going to talk about it because everyone thinks, oh, or what they are doing is bad. You see, so we need to evolve out of these things. Like I said, whatever void that religion fills, we as humans, we as Ghanaians, we can outgrow and then build on ourselves and be better off with our religion. It's possible. We should think outside religion.
I think that religion is really replacing our human nature. That now, even though we think that those times, people could kill in the name of religion. As my brother said, it is still happening that we feel that if we see someone and the person is gay or the person doesn't go by our beliefs, that person has to be stoned, has to be beaten. I mean, where are we? Where we are, we have heard of people being lynched and all that only because they were being attracted to same sex and all that. I think it's not fair that we allow religion to do that to us. So to me, I think that we can do without religion. I think so.
Okay. So, okay, 1 minute. I'm very much. Whatever I have here will fit 1 minute. All right. There, one is the objectification of all human virtues. What I mean by that is the fact that if somebody expresses a certain act of goodness and the person does not subscribe to your God, then it's like, that person is not worthy of some recommendation or some commendation. That is one thing religion does. Like, I give, but then I belong to another sect. I don't belong, but me, my own is I give because I belong to a certain God concept. And that if anybody is giving outside that God concept, then it's questionable. You understand? That's what religion does. It objectivizes virtues. So love, peace, miracles. Miracles happen everywhere. But for some reason, we feel that it is a preserve of a certain religion. That theirs is miracle. So anything, if you say you had a miracle in another setting, they'll be like, oh, it's not a miracle. You were using some mediums and all that. The second one is the conflict with science. Anytime science gets in touch with religion, there's always conflict, and it shouldn't be like that. Science is using our mind. Scientific method is subject to the mind. The other one is enforcing patriarchy, like the fact that men are up, the order is unfounded anywhere. In fact, there's a lot of scientific evidence that shows that even the other gender has the right to be above the one that is being put up there. But religion enforces that kind of that the males are up there. And the last one is the position that men are higher species than other ones on the earth. The fact that you don't know the ants' reality doesn't mean that we are above the ants. We don't have any founded or scientific thing to prove that. We just speculate. Even the science approach speculates. Then the last one is gender politics. The fact that we are able to say that there are just two genders. This is something we have to look into. It is not true. The fact that we say that male, female, it's not something that is true. It's not based on facts. Thank you.
So our next question, what positive and negative things have religions been responsible for historically?
So let me just start from here so that we should skip. Okay.
So the next one, historically, what do you think that religious people are happier? Why and why not?
Yeah, I think
let's just do it around so that we just
actually spoken about this.
Okay.
Religion cushions you. So instead of thinking you are alone, you tend to think maybe God would do. Yeah. So yeah.
I don't think religious people are happier per se. We have the same struggles in life. They just have a more structured coping mechanism. But it doesn't mean that religious people are happier per se. There's happiness and there's joy. You know, some people are in a bad situation. They're not happy about it, but there's a certain joyfulness that they have that, okay, things will get better, a certain hope. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'm still trying to understand if being happy is living with the threat that if you don't love someone well, you end up in hell. I think it's quite subjective, but we will just take it that we are also there. We are still trying to see what will happen someday.
Okay, so for human beings, psychologically studying human beings, happiness is not a function of religion at all. So we do not have to worry our heads about its extension, happier. happy cry is not a function of religion. So what is happy?
Good Lord.
You understand? And we don't have any background, we don't have any evidence, we don't have any backing to say that religion has the right to make someone happy. So happy cry, they are not there. Now, humans attain happiness on so many reasons, but then they are all culminated in one thing. Now, if a human being has their expectations at any moment that they have their expectations being met or near being met, and then when the things are met, normally when human beings have an expectation met, they move to is their tendencies to celebrate. And when they have a very variable source of celebration, then such living organisms call themselves happy. If you like test every organism on this earth with this, that is what the people who have taken their time to study have found out. That if I have an expectation that I meet, and then I'm near meeting it, and I have a source of celebration that is variable, so I have a lot of ways to be happy. So you realize that Europe is a bit functional because consciously they try to find so many ways of celebration. So everywhere they pick on something to have fun about. You might think they are petty, but they know the social psyche of human beings. So these are the things that make human beings happy. The credits we can give religion here is, like our brother said, religion carves expectations. So somebody expects that I will do this. That's the only credit we might give religion, that it carves expectation. I expect. It narrows your expectation. So religion maybe helps you to get to the expectation, and then you can conform to happiness.
Okay.
All right.
So the last question is, what positive and negative things has atheism been responsible for historically?
Atheist, why?
Just to start from there, I'll say atheism isn't really a structured. You can't compare it to like religion, where it's more like structured with a central view. It's more of like a choice people come with, you know. So she may be an atheist, but she may have very divergent views from somebody else who like is an atheist. So to be able to, if you want to judge a positive thing that atheism has done, you can't really look at it on a grand scale, but more like an individual's life, you know. So personally for me, right, having gone closer to, I wasn't a complete atheist, but I got closer. The benefit I would say that I would think that I had was that I wasn't shackled by any any rules. You have to do this, you have to do that. But at the same time, it made me lonely. I was alone. I didn't know anybody else who was an atheist, so I was alone. I feel like personally for me, what atheism, or the idea of like atheism like did to me, was to cloister me and separate me from everybody else, and I wasn't happy, or I didn't feel like I belonged, you know. So for me, that is how I would analyze it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, for me, I think one positive thing atheism brings is the fact that you don't sleep, you know, like you sleep knowing that one day on Judgment Day you'll be a hot cake. Like you'll be, you don't know which hell, which God. You see, there'll be various satans or whichever gods trying to judge you, and you don't know which hell they're going to push you into. The Muslim God, the Christian God, whatever, and they're all going to, so like, you know, you'll be busy one day, but for now, I mean, you don't really worry about. You don't really worry about who.
That's hilarious. It's funny. It's funny.
So for now you will sleep in peace.
When I was also close to that side, that was one thing I was afraid of.
So for now you sleep without worrying about who to please. You just know that you live your life. Whoever is happy with you up there.
Simple. Life is good.
Yeah.
Life is easy.
And in fact, atheists don't even fear death. You understand? Yeah.
That's not true.
That's not true.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
He said traditional physicist.
Okay.
I think that's
Okay.
it.
So the positives from atheism, I feel the phenomenal advent of science. It took atheists to be bold to die. Some of them had to even be so stubborn. Their families begged them to retract some of their positions, and they didn't retract, and they were put to the stake. And they gave people the boldness to face signs and then develop signs. They even had to hide and develop signs. So if there is anything about the atheistic position, this is what it has. It has helped in the evolution of science. Atheists have done very well with that. Now the negative aspects about atheists is we are very stubborn. Okay, and the stubbornness is just to say that we don't accept things easily. Yeah. And I think when you meet certain atheists for the first time, it's like those who are very well read, they actually they come across as very, you understand, but then with time they get to be, but then I like it that way because they are the people who made me enjoy a very good concept of the world. All right. Now, I just want to add about atheism. Atheism is not a belief system. It is just a position. You are claiming that there is someone who has his fingers or arms coming out of his forehead. And I'm just telling you that I don't believe you. Then you ask me, why don't I believe you? Have you shown me someone with the fingers and forehead? You've not. You're just trying to say that when he has his hands, when he does the head something, one of the fingers will do something. That's the thing you are explaining. But then actually you have not given me any evidence of that being. So the atheist is not someone you should be so bored with. The atheist is just making a position. This claim that you are making is so extraordinary. Why don't you make it better? Come around better. So atheistic views could change if you brought a better argument. Thank you.
Okay, so what he said about atheists advancing in time, it's not only atheists. I think some religious people too have done their best to improve. So we should share the credit. It's not always atheists, and sometimes too, it's not about religion. Sometimes what you believe in doesn't really affect certain things. Yes.
Please, if I have something to say to that, I think that if our religious books have told us of a God who will heal us, and we had all decided to be praying for healing whenever we were sick, I think that medicine wouldn't have reached where it is now, because I remember way back in high school, one teacher told me about how those times when you had malaria, they thought you had been cursed by the gods, so they allowed you to stay in the sun. If you died, it means that the gods were angry with you, and if you didn't die, it means that they had mercy on you. And we all know that malaria sometimes appears and disappears in some way. You understand? So that's what's going on. So if we had all subscribed to the idea that there is a God up there who is going to heal us, and in fact every religion says it. Okay, fine. The ones I know, Muslim, Christian, we all have words, explicit words that God is our healer, and whatever we ask, we will get answers for. So if we are strictly gone by that, we should not have seen science where it is now. So to me, I think that with the major advancements in science, we should give some big credit to the atheists. Yeah.
Okay, so can I come to so again, it's like a generalization, right? There are many people who are doctors who have contributed so much to science and medicine, who were in fact like religious and were inspired by the fact that God has given me this skill to be able to heal somebody, right? On the other hand, there have been atheists who, Nazis, they didn't believe in God, but they did so many evil things to other human beings, and even those evil things they did have come to benefit science in a way, because it was through their experiments that people got to understand human anatomy, right? So you can't really just ascribe it like a generalized.
No. See,
it was through the Nazis that people understood human anatomy.
Yeah, there was a certain aspect of human anatomy.
So you said a certain aspect, but you've generalized.
Well, I'm talking.
Let me highlight my point. Yeah. My point is this: if in the scriptures it is stated in there that God is our healer, God is our healer, and we were to strictly go by that, we would not have made advancements in science. I am not saying that maybe others didn't play any role, but I think that it took someone with a mindset that God is not going to heal me. Let me look at what I can do for myself in order for us to get to where we are.
They are just saying give religion some credit.
Yeah, and the point I'm trying to make
I
is,
would like to give you guys some credit.
but the point you are making
Yeah,
is,
I'm saying that definitely there are doctors who are using their brains and all that, who were trained, you understand, by other people who had found the way.
Yeah.
Now we don't know those who actually found the way, but you and I can say here, we can sit here and say that God ever performed a surgery on any human being or whatnot. You understand? Science has gone to stage, and I'm saying that if we were to strictly go by what is contained in the scripture, we should not have tried to heal ourselves.
Yeah, the point I'm making is that somebody can use the same scripture and say that God is giving me this knowledge or this understanding to be able to heal someone. So it's just I'm just trying to point that out.
The point I made was just simply that for me, I'm looking at history. When these science evolutions was coming, it took some very bold people to defy the odds. So that's why I'm giving credit to the atheists, because they defied the odds. But they even gave some of the Christians who wanted to do science the boldness.
So an example, like Galileo, he was a Christian, right? He died a Christian, right? But his contributions to science have been immense. But he wasn't an atheist. The church, right? But now the church has come to understand these things.
The church has not fully come to that. You are generalizing.
Oh, but which Christian believes that the earth is the center of the solar system? Okay, it's okay. Sorry. Let's go. Let's continue.
Okay, so we are done. We are done with the questions.
Hey, Christian. Come and sit here.
Okay, so I think we are through with our questions, and I want to thank everybody that made it here, and especially our panelists for generous contributions they have made to make this a progress. Now the floor is open for general questions to our panelists. So if you made any observation about certain information they gave, you can come out and.
Please note that your questions can be directed to any of the panelists, and the more specific you are, and then the shorter the answers can be. So this is going to be quick fire. Means that you have 30 seconds to answer the question. If you have no idea, just say you are not welcome. The camera can pick up both the questioner and then the voice. Right?
I can't see him. Can you see him?
See him.
His face. You can see his face. I'm blind. The light is blinding me.
I always come back to we're supposed to do what no research will be.
It's good. It's a good thing.
What he gave me, I asked him the day before. That. No, he told me about the time, some 300 seconds and all that. And I asked him whether that 300 seconds is for me alone or and he told me that it's for me. So I asked him. So if you had told me that all of us are sharing.
But I'm quite jealous. I wish I could do that. I'm jealous of the way you prepared. I wish I could do that.
And I'm ashamed that I was ill prepared.
So moving on, and this is what I'll recommend. Like everybody here, like you'll be on the panel soon. So this is what we want you to look at the question and then find like the least amount of words you can use to answer. Okay, search concise, then we can move on. The problem with most of these questions is that they are nuanced, but then what I keep hearing is a lot of the same thing, right? When it shouldn't be so. Because if we keep repeating ourselves, it will mean that all the questions are the same. But the questions are not the same. They're actually nuanced. They're actually asking for different perspectives and different points of view.
I think they are linked. That's why it is.
Yeah. So in answering the next question, you shouldn't refer to yeah, because then if you keep linking them, then it will make you answer.
That is
You think it was
also feeling that the audience are following you enough.
Oh yeah, everybody's following you.
No.
The discussion
Oh no, I'm just
right
saying
Ah,
that
So you learned anything new?
I think that
Pardon? What? What you say?
Yes.
Oh! I left my oil. The door was shut.
Okay, ready now. What our voice?
Okay, my question.
Okay, you have to match your voice.
macho your boy.
hold on.
Was it recording?
Yeah, 2 hours, 30 minutes. Okay. No, you can just be here. So, all the people asking the questions will be standing here.
Oh yeah. My question
With this
is.
chair.
Yeah.
With this chair.
No. I'll not have the chair.
You don't have the chair, okay. Okay.
My question is.
Hold on.
Hey.
My question is, and it goes to all of them, but you must really explain with reason.
30 seconds.
Yeah. Are people born religious? If so, which one? Religion of their parents, culture, or geographical place? If not, when do humans subscribe to religion, and what influenced their decision?
Okay, so to answer it fast, I think we are all a consequence of our environment. So like nobody really has a choice in the religion that you accept. Like basically where you are. Now, as you grow older, then you can now make choices. Do I want to stay with this? Do I want to leave? Do I want to join another one? So it's a matter of time, but I don't believe that people were born religious. We were all bland, and we learned from our environment. We learned.
Yeah, so if I also add, yes, what he said, we were all born with love. We were all born not knowing how to hate. It will take a religion to teach me to watch my brother die because I don't want him to accept blood transfusion to offend our God. You see, I am very passionate about this because I have some friends who have had to go through that. And it hurts me so much that how come we say we are human beings, we love ourselves, science has shown us a way to save our lives, and because of a certain doctrine that we don't subscribe to, we are watching our human beings die. And it's very interesting that these same people who quote scriptures from the Old Testament to support what they are doing, one deals in rabbit meat, and rabbit meat is something I know is also outlawed in the Old Testament. So I pointed it out to him that how can you watch your fellow human being to die because of this scripture, but you are and you were defending the rabbit meat. Like, you see how you have placed rabbit meat over the life of your brother. This same Bible. So I think religion, we have to make a conscious choice to choose which direction we want to go. Am I going to watch when my brother die when he needs help, or I am going to say yes to my human nature and help him out and leave the gods out?
Okay, so from the humanist point of view, it is man-made. You can make your own if you want.
Next question.
You'd have to come here, the mic.
So mine is actually not a question, but it's an observation I made, and I want to say it so that if you guys have a counter, you can tell me, right? And everyone else. So I'm an atheist. I'm an atheist too. No sideways. Not like my brothers agnostic and all that. Anyway, so the question was that what positive things do religions do or something? And I remember the atheist on the panel was saying it was a coping mechanism, and because we don't have proper mental health facilities, it helps people. I think that was wrong in my opinion.
That was what I said.
No, not you.
Oh, okay, all right.
And I think that's wrong, you know. One, I want to ask that, don't you guys think that if we did away with religion that says that God helps people, God heals people, would rather channel that energy into building facilities to take care of the mentally challenged people. You understand? Because everybody thinks that if their parents are sick or their fathers or brothers are afflicted with some sort of mental problem, they should take them to a church, right? And the church emboldens this. You hear it on radio, like all these kind of noise they make, right? So my assertion is that if we're able to do away with religion interfering with our health sector, probably we would channel that energy into building proper facilities to take care of these things that we annihilate and push to them.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
I'd like to.
I wasn't saying
okay,
that in the sense of me. I don't know how to explain this. You got me wrong. I'm not saying it's okay. Fine, positive in the sense that people who are suffering from depression. Fine, we do not have these facilities that cater for depression. You know, all these subtle mental conditions, and religion comes as some form of first aid in the absence of these things. So I'm not saying that it is right that we are substituting correct facilities for alternatives like religion, but I'm saying that it's doing something. So I'm acknowledging. I'm not
Okay. So
prescribing.
to come against what you are saying, he said we should do against we do away with like religion. The irony is that most healthcare facilities in Ghana are run by Christian organizations, right? Are not run by the government, right? If you do away with it, are atheists willing to come up and say, okay, we are going to fund the healthcare system like in the country? I don't think so. I don't think they would have the capacity to. Now,
No, you don't finish. I have
let me just. So it's like, okay, let us do away with religion,
No,
right?
you didn't get it. Let's do away with the mentality that religious spaces offer help, like churches, for
Okay.
the mentally challenged.
All right. So to come out to also address that.
Sure.
I had a struggle with depression. My father is bipolar, right? At the point where we needed help the most, it was a religious person who gave us somebody to speak to. This is who can help you. This is what can do. So, and I'm sure an atheist could have done that anyway, right? But then the reality is that we live in a society where you depend on your safety net, right? And it is, and because many people are religious, that's what it is. But whether you are religious or not, you depend on a safety net of people to help you when you are in trouble, right? Religion has a role to play in terms of healthcare, delivery, given that if you have a problem, you need people to come around you and support you. Otherwise, you just entropy, basically.
No, the problem is not solved in churches. You understand? These problems are not solved in churches.
Yes.
Now, with religion setting up health facilities, it's not an NGO. We go to pay for them.
Yes.
Right? So rather than the first aid being go to a church, just go to a hospital.
Yeah, there are many.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, there are many Christians who, when you express to them that this is the case, first they'll pray for you.
Yes.
Then, if it's something like schizophrenia,
Yes.
where you need urgent medical care at once, most people will take you to a mental health facility. We believe in
But is this the reality when we go to all these prayer camps?
You see, wait. Just like he said, somebody would need blood, and he said that based on the Bible, I will not take blood. That doesn't make any sense, right? You are not bound by the Old Testament. Most Christians know this. Some sects of Christians don't, right? Can you? So, I get to me. So the being religious or believing in in some things, or religion being the foundation of a society, doesn't preclude getting people helping people get the right healthcare. Where these things are done, where somebody is sick and they say take him to prayer camp, that is done out of ignorance, right? It is ignorance. If the person knew I am religious, there are many religious people who will not take their loved one to a prayer camp. They'll take you to the mental hospital. So it is every individual situation that what people know is what determines how they behave. Now I give blood, right? I don't believe that I'm going against Old Testament law, but somebody who say a Jehovah's Witness will stand on it and say that this is what the Bible says, right? And then be doing something that I feel is ignorant. Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me, I think
please. To support what you are saying, my brother made a statement that when you have a problem, they will pray for you. When they realize it's serious, they will tell you to go to the hospital. Then it means that you know the prayer won't work. So you are just performing a ritual. Yeah, to let the person feel good or you yourself feel good, so that when a person goes to the hospital and it works, you say that, oh God, I don't know. But with what you are saying, it is the way out, in the sense that if we put religion below the state, and not say that because churches are there and churches have built hospitals, it is okay if we don't build any other hospital. And I'm saying that on authority, because if it wasn't for this ideology, I don't know why our president would decide to build a cathedral for us with all the I am not saying that whether cathedral money or land is going to solve all our problems, but until we get to that point where we realize that we have to take care of ourselves and no God anyway is going to will come down to be for us, any little resource we have will be channeled toward a realistic approach of solving our problems.
So the question I have is, assuming you take like religion, okay, let's assume that we had a blank slate, we could clear like religion like out of the picture. Are the problems of Ghanaians going to go away?
I think
our healthcare system. Wait. It is a problem of money.
No, right? The mindset.
The mindset.
Okay, wait. So let me just finish this. Our country is not a Christian country by law. It's secular, right? But ask yourself, how many?
Point of correction. The Supreme Court ruling on the matter of the cathedral, we are not really secular.
What did you say?
It says that the government can interfere, government can facilitate religious activity, government can interfere in it. The moment you say that, you are no more secular.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that information. I did not know. Okay, now my point is, in the system that we have as Ghanaians now, right? It is not like religion that affects the healthcare that we get, right? It's a matter of funding. It's complicated. It is not the fault of religion as to where we are. So if you take like religion out, you're not going to solve the problem. But then
the mindset. You see that?
So like take for example the hospital that was built at like Legon, right? It was built like a lot of money like was invested like into it, but it was idle for like a long time. Is that the fault of like a religion? No, it's just inefficiency and I think stupidity, right? It whether religion is there or not, if your system is not like well run and you not finance it well, right?
This is a case where religion plays a role.
Yeah.
Okay.
50 seconds.
You understand?
Sorry. Last one. Like let's take for example the US, right? The US is one of the most powerful countries in the world, right? Compared to their peers, what is the state of their healthcare system? Right, it's really bad.
As compared,
right? No, but the country. Pause. But the country in itself, right? It is not a religious country. It's a secular country. Listen, no, I'm talking about the basis of the constitution.
If you compare the health system in America to that of any other country, that place is higher than this.
Yeah, but then the point I'm trying to make is that the basis of their healthcare is not based on religion.
Jerome, you guys, let me just split the difference here, right? So, yes, the United States, right, purports itself to be a secular country. Purports itself to be a secular country. However, in practice, we have seen that the religious right has been testing the boundaries of that secularity all the time. If there wasn't a position from organizations like the Human Rights Organizations in the United States or the secularists in the United States, it would have been purely a theological country.
Yeah.
But it's not.
So it purported the same way we have purported ourselves to be a secular state until it was challenged in the Supreme Court. You understand? So there are ways in which like you test the system,
Okay, so let me just come in there. So for example, when in my mind an example of a religious country is a country that uses its holy book, basically, like
We
Islam.
realize we are far from what Fifi is talking about.
Yeah, but I'm trying to come back to it.
Yeah.
Like,
Far.
like I'm trying to come back, right? An Islamic country is a country that uses Sharia law, right, as its basis. Its basis
Let's talk about
of
what Fifi has.
Oh, I'm coming back to that, right? So the basis of the country is its holy book, right? For the basis of our country is the Ghanaian constitution, right? Now I won't lie and say that I know that it is completely like secular. I would suspect that some aspects of Christianity influenced the writing of the constitution. But if you want to be a truly like religious state, then it means that your constitution is based directly on a holy book, which is how I understand that. Yes.
Now the problem with Ghana and with most of the West African countries, most of the colonized countries, is that the preambles of our constitution begins with, who knows this, in the name of God. Yeah. And because of that, that is one of the points that the project say that no, Ghanaians fundamentally believe God.
Okay.
So it becomes a problem. Ask what God the constitution is like. Then we have to look at the spirit of the law. And that's when the spirit God
okay,
comes into play.
so
Can I add something to what you said?
Yeah.
Just suppose, I think that's what saved the US a little, because they start we the people.
yes, exactly.
So it's on the basis of we the people that those who are not religious are able to get some power to
Yeah, but the reality.
But in Ghana, the Ghanaian constitution
Wait,
doesn't recognize atheists.
Wait, but in US, the reality in the United States is that a chunk of their constitution is not based on, like, let's say, it's not like how Islam, you say like this is an Islamic country because they follow the Quran, they follow like Sharia law. Wait, okay, so for example, right, guns.
We are far away from.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to come back to it, right? So as you said, right, the reason why the US is safe from these kind of things is that they founded their constitution, we the people, which is very different from in the name of God, right? So it's like we as a group have agreed to do things X, Y, Z, right? Our biases may creep into what we decide, but at the end of the day, it is we the people, and we can amend it based on what we describe as the majority. So there is some credence there to say that the US is not a religious country per se. Now, depending on the majority of maybe like Supreme Court or people who influence how things go like in the country, for some time in the past, you could say that it's not majority like religious, it's more like liberal of late, right? There's a minority of like religious people who like fight against like LGBT and like abortion and all sorts of things, but they are not everybody. They are a minority like in the country. So here's where I was trying to use the idea of healthcare in such a country that doesn't even identify the majority as religious. They still have problems in healthcare because they haven't decided as a group that we have the capacity, let us make healthcare free for everyone. They did that, and then even those who were religious fought against it. Why? Because of certain politics that they would say they identify with, right? But for the US, right, which you could say is a secular country, more like secular, they have healthcare problems which won't go away even if you take like religion away.
Okay. Now, no,
which is what the answer to his question.
Yeah, good. You've answered the question, right? But just before you ask your question, right, you also have to understand, and this is where the voices of dissent are coming from, that a lot of the politics in itself
is religious.
In religion.
I agree.
So there's no way to split the difference here. It's like they are part and parcel of each other. The in God we trust that we find on the US currency is very young. It came in 54 or 56. 56 or so.
1956.
Yeah. Yes, just recently. Up until then, the religious rights were building momentum, and we were able to push that. Look, put this on our money. You understand? So the ability of non-religious for religious people to gather forces, and that's one of the things that you were saying that they are very good at doing. Gather forces and then affect a supposedly secular nation. It's very probable, and we have to be always aware that all the politics that we see, even the fact that the hospital was not open, the fact that our roads are bad, you can find it rooted in one way or another in religion. it may be a thin aspect of it, right? But then as long as people's beliefs matter to them, like the capitalist ideology that you should be able to do it on your own, it has found now hope in religious organizations saying that no, it's our God-given right to fight for what we want. We don't want anybody giving us things for free. You understand?
I get
Even though capitalism is basically a religious, it has found a hope in religion because people will always want to find rationalizations, want to find justifications for all the things that they see, and therefore they will evolve to their religions.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know how many of you remember this, but roughly 600 years before Jesus, there was a Greek figure. Whether it's
Alexander the Great.
Whether it's real or not is not that important. But then the central idea is, even if all our struggle were just to show us that we don't know anything, he thinks that is worth the struggle, right? So my question is, given that if we want to make progress, we have to start with the premises that we will always infinitely be ignorant about the deeper nature of the world and all that. What mechanisms can we put in place in terms of error correction? At the heart of science is an error correction mechanism, which says you come up with an idea, feed it into the experiment to get an error. And that's the sole distinguishing idea between science and religion. My question is, do you think there's anything religious ideas or outlook on the world can implement that has error correction at its heart, so that we can test an idea and say, okay, fine, maybe we thought angels have 3 wings, or maybe it's 2 wings, or okay, now it's not 3 angels that dance on the head of a pin, it's just 1. Like, is that like I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I understand your. Is there like a mechanism
that can be placed in the heart of religion
so that
can do error correction?
Okay,
so
can revise.
At the end of the day, you know that we'll be forever mired in what? Ignorance. Okay. That's the given premise.
So, to address that question, we are always going to be ignorant. We are never going to know. So, one example that I like using is dark matter. Right? Till today, no scientist has been able to prove consistently that dark matter exists. Right? It's basically an indirect observation. You see X, Y, Z, so this must exist. Right? Einstein himself, who was so wise and smart, there was a certain theory that he disagreed with, spooky action at a distance, that like particles are like entangled, and right now there's evidence to show that Einstein was wrong. So in science you see these kind of changes. Now with religion, right, for most people it's a personal thing. Can science answer your questions of mortality? Right? If I die, what's going to happen to me? That fear that your mortality creates, or that your environment finds you in, right, may lead you to make certain choices. Right? Now, if for our Ghanaian context, you come and tell everybody, maybe science has observed that after you are dead, nothing happens, right? Will that information benefit the majority of people who are in dire circumstances and are poor and who need something to hold on to, right? Now, there are certain things, for example, even in Christianity, that show that there's a level of error correction, which is the idea of Jesus Christ in itself, right? The Jews were following a certain law, right? He comes and says that I am the fulfillment of the law.
Not to interrupt what you're saying. What I'm talking about is error correction in the sense that the fundamental ideas can't be overhauled. The reason why I'm saying this is, if you take, for example, let's say all the people have taken some look at heat, right? There was in the beginning of the discussion on it, there was a choleric idea. That's to say that there's something called polarity, and it flows from one point to the other. At the end of the discussion, the idea was overhauled and it was dismissed. No serious person can take the idea seriously. The same way I'm saying, is it possible that at the heart of religion can be placed a certain mechanism that you can say, okay, at the end of the analysis, this Jesus idea does not have merit. And to me, I think that's all the difference between science and religion.
And the point that I'm trying to make is that religion in itself, as it is, there's a certain level of where in a situation that happens, maybe there's a situation that happens now, there's a disaster, right? We come up with ways to rationalize it and then move on, right? So maybe something happens here, there's a tsunami, there's an earthquake, we burn and we die. Those who survive say that God punished those who died for their sins, then it becomes like a part of an example. Like it becomes like a part of.
But they could have said so many other things.
Oh, so like an example where this is how they choose to This is how they choose to like rationalize things. But at the end of the day, belief in itself has a certain value that it creates to us, right? It gives you that sense of my impending mortality. Where am I going, right? When I didn't believe like anything, it was more like I'm going to die. I'm going to turn into carbon. I'm going to become like part of the earth, and nothing's going to happen after. That thought was frightening.
Why
right?
is it frightening?
Because it's frightening.
No, he's asking if there's a possibility for things to be revived.
But saying, can you
Yeah.
put the mechanism in place? Is there one in place?
Yeah, but then, okay, so what I'm trying to say is that now we accept certain things, right, as fundamental, right?
No. You see, this is the thing.
Okay, let me just.
Cut you, and I don't want to cut you, because I'm only saying there should see fundamentals that have, for example, let me tell you something. You can send a message to your brother in maybe Canada. The only reason why a message gets there is not because there was no error along the way. In fact, many times when you send a message, the message was dropped. A single reason being there's an error correction mechanism in telecommunication that said, okay, this is an error. This is not what the original person.
Okay.
And they cancel it out.
Now my point is that my point is that if I was a machine, if I was a Terminator T1000, right, that logic would work because I'm a machine, right? But as a human being, there's a certain fundamental thing that you want to hold on to, right? Now, from the fundamental teachings, right, that are core to the thing, most people will say, this is how it is, leave it. Right now, for everything that springs afterwards, for example, blood like donation, don't take blood. That's something that you can like challenge, you can like address, right? But the fundamental idea of, okay, let's test this. If we test this, God doesn't exist, right? Then it causes like a situation where it's like, I'm not a machine. I still have other needs of where am I going? How comfortable can I be in this life? Without becoming like a nihilist and being that, okay, I can do anything to anybody I want. There's no consequence because I don't believe that maybe like the government can get me or I'll go to hell, right? These things have certain values as human beings, and maybe until we like become like machines, right? Then that may be like helpful.
In other words, the simple truth is that there's no error correction mechanism.
No, I'm saying that. Wait. I'm saying that there's a fundamental.
In fact, I want to say some.
Wait. I'm saying that. Last one.
In conclusion.
Yes. In conclusion, there's a fundamental core of the belief that remains untouched, or in my opinion, that should remain untouched, right? Every other thing that springs from it, like, can I eat rabbit? Can I donate blood? Am I supposed to marry this person? Who do I do? My morals, right? These things.
Correction mechanism.
I mean,
The point I'm trying to make is that at the fundamental core.
So your answer is no.
Yes, no.
The point I'm trying to make is that
The answer is no.
We all know you are saying no, but
that correction mechanism that you are talking about.
It's no. I think it's no.
That's
what we need to
This is what I mean. This is what I mean by an error correction mechanism. If anyone who has paid attention to Euclid, right, somewhere 300 years before Jesus. Right?
Euclid,
yes.
Yeah.
The geometry we all learn for school.
Of course.
In geometry, Euclid remember. Now, what he talk really say, if you get a triangle, where they plane top, if you add all the angles, you will get what?
One.
Somebody I bet. It's comma. 180.
Yeah.
Now, after Euclid,
he didn't say 180.
yeah, by something, he didn't say 180. I mean, I bab you, but you get what I mean, right?
I don't know who gets. But I read
Okay, to be precise, he said two right angles.
Good.
That's what you thought.
Good.
But
That's the thing.
Don't be pedantic like him. What I want you to understand is, after Euclid came another set of geometers who thought about the same problem that Euclid thought about, and then they overhauled the idea and they said, no, there are triangles where if you add them, the sum of the interior angles,
Yes.
it will be more than or even less than 180.
Yes.
This is an overhauling of the fundamental ideas of the geometry you learn for school.
And the point I'm trying to make to you.
What I want to make you understand is, if you understand that human beings will never know, and you take it as a bedrock of your philosophy, it's not to take pride in understanding something or to say certain ideas are exempted from rational conversation,
Yes.
but to say, what if all ideas were to be brought on the table for discussion?
And the point I'm trying to make to you is that if I was a machine, right? I'm just speaking from the point where I understand you. If I was a machine, I didn't have the feelings of fear, of death, or any other thing, right? That might work, right? But then the point I'm trying to make to you is that it is not like, let's say, 1 and 0. It's not binary. It's not like yes and no. There's some aspect of Christianity that is subject to change and error like correction. And usually the like council of like Nicaea, they came together, they agreed on, said this is what we should believe, because there's so many things roaming around, right? There's an aspect of it that you can change, you can and like correct. For example, like them not taking blood, right? If they decide to come together and say that, okay, based on our knowledge now, right, our members can now accept and take blood based on this new thing that we've understood. That's fine, and that
do you understand that it's all arbitrary now?
Let me
now,
finish.
Things that should be modified and things that can't be modified is all arbitrary.
Which ones can't?
That's
man-made. It means
listen, no.
And if you change even one, you change the whole thing.
Wait, pause. Like, I'm just trying to answer his question. He said that can this error like mechanism be put, or is there an error like mechanism? In some situations, yes, because people come together and decide that this thing that we believed, we no longer believe. Let us change it to suit it. But there's a fundamental core of the religion that is left untouched, right? So which is where I was saying that I am not a machine, right? The fear of until you are not human, but a fundamental part of being human is to try to understand where am I from, where am I going.
No, wait. Then you are trying to say of being a Christian.
No, like not Christian.
Wait,
The other members on the board.
Yeah, I don't want to say.
let's get with the other Christian.
No, but
Okay.
but do you understand what I was trying to tell you?
Let me summarize what Jerome is saying, right? Because I understand Jerome. I see you going
Don't be silly.
No, I understand you perfectly. And correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is that there are certain ideas, there are certain core ideas which are axiomatic.
What's the meaning of axiomatic?
Foundations. You don't touch them.
English, just speak English. Yeah.
Is that what it means in mathematics?
Yeah.
No.
You don't touch them.
You can't take it away.
Yeah, you can't think you accept them.
But
then there are other ideas, right? There are other ideas which are subject to so like St. Augustine's, all of St. Augustine's work was actually questioning. It wasn't questioning the foundations of Christianity. It was questioning the periphery, like the actual things that we consider to be traditions.
Yeah.
Right, the traditions of Christianity are different from the core foundations.
Exactly.
Core foundations of
Yeah.
Christianity. All the traditions of Christianity can be questioned.
Yes.
But the foundations, which is there is God and He is one, that there is no error correction for. However, yes. So to them, the idea that there is God and He is one is axiomatic. Anything else around that
It's subject to error correction.
is subject to error correction. It's subject to new information. It's actually, you have to be, and this is where you have to be intellectually honest. It's subject to the changing ways of science.
I agree.
Okay, wait, but his question started from the premise. And the premise was we are all ignorant of certain things. So if he agrees, then it means that in essence he doesn't agree with that premise.
Oh, wait, pause. Wait, hold on. We are ignorant of certain things, but at the end of the day, as humans, we try to understand our environment, try to put things in place to bear the shock of like, oh wow, there's no, or maybe like let me just like take myself from the situation, right, and say that okay, somebody is there, he's not comfortable with the idea that he's going to die and turn to manure, right? So in order to be able to rationalize in his environment, he has subscribed himself to certain rules. And now these rules, if you change them, it affects his reality.
So
like
for his convenience.
I hate for this to turn into a dialogue, but I hate for this to turn into a dialogue.
Oh, relax.
But the essence of error correction is not so that it makes us happy.
Yeah.
Unless you're a machine.
No.
Let him land.
Let me say this. So the essence of growing up.
No, but I can choose to stick to what I want to believe.
Hello.
All of us have felt what it means to grow up. And what it means is that you have had to come to terms with very uncomfortable or very painful facts of life. That is what it means to mature. It is not to say that you would have the world be as you would like it, but it's how should you condition yourself in recognition of the stark facts of life.
I agree with you on that.
Why are you telling me that if somebody is displeased by maybe the fact that he's going to die, then you should give him a narrative that...
No, I'm not saying I should give him a narrative. I'm saying that you are free to choose whatever you want to believe. So once you have that power of choice, right? If this truth is not comfortable for me, I can choose not to believe it. Anybody can do that.
That room to choose what you want, it doesn't.
Personally, I would say, right, with the way I've studied it,
Yes, no.
before you can become like a Christian, you choose. It's not by force that somebody's telling you must do this. I choose, and if I choose to believe this thing, these are what I must do. So it's a choice, right?
Please, can I also let's just wait for.
Let's hear.
Okay, sure. Right.
Yes.
You've been cooking this question for a while.
Yes. Yes.
Guys, so 30 seconds. Just kill
Oh,
it.
yes. To answer you. To answer you, I say this. The
We are sorry.
basis of Christianity is the Holy Bible, right? And we all know that this Bible didn't descend from the skies. It was written different places. It was compiled. 40 men sat down to discuss what should be added and what should not be added. It should tell you right from the scribe that there is a big room for error correction, because at the end of the day, those men sat down and realized that, oh no, this thing is not true, this is not right, this is not right. That was due to time. So what the version we have now is something that was formed in 1649 or whatever. So at the end of the day, it is clear that there is room for error correction. Everything in there can be changed at a certain point in time, but we don't know when. And if we say fundamental, whatever, if you are not a Christian, if we are saying that
you and I.
if you are saying that the whole Bible is the reason for you being a Christian, then means that if you change any one aspect, you are no more a Christian.
Okay,
is that something we are willing to go by?
So that isn't what I'm saying, right? There are
that's
many
an earlier thing that you told me. Yeah.
Oh, that's not what it was intended. So for example, if you look at the Bible, okay. After.
He has another question later. Your question, please.
Shut up.
I have two questions. One is for the Christians. You were saying something about obedience, like people. Christians see what obedience is doing as wrong.
Most.
How do you know that?
Okay, so how do you know it's wrong?
Yeah.
How do you know that
How do you know most?
How that most Christians see what obedience is doing is wrong?
Because the where we take our instructions from, the Bible says is that by their fruits you will know them, right?
Then how do you know that most?
But then, to answer your question, the rules of Christianity, right? Do they fit with what Obinim is doing? Most Christians, all be like putting his foot on a pregnant woman's stomach and pressing it.
Jesus spat on the floor and used mat to wrap someone's eyes.
Okay, fine. My point is that
life into the woman.
most of the Christians that I know, or within, so fine, right? What in my circles, in what I would say most people that I surround myself with, right? There's only one particular person who says a Christian who subscribes to what he does because she goes to his church, right? And she supports what he's doing. Personally, I see such a person to be like Jim Jones, where you are corrupting something, and because it has power to control people's minds, you are able to make them do that. But it is to call a spade a spade. Some things you can, what he is doing is wrong, and I believe most people that I have spent.
I'm a Christian, so I also answer for
Christians.
So let me answer for Christians.
Before that, right, I just want to ask just a follow-up. Like, it's the same thing, right? Now, if Obini had spat in the ground and then mixed it up and put it on people's faces, would you still consider what he's doing as wrong?
Now, this is the fundamental
answer.
Oh,
As a fellow, I'm a Christian.
Okay, so let me. This is the fundamental source of my belief is the story of Jesus Christ, of the things that he did. Now, if you spat on the floor and you need to clean somebody's eyes, and it says that the person came to see, right? On one hand, I wasn't there, right? I would say, in order to like rationalize it, I would take it as like an act of faith. Okay, this happened and he heals somebody. If I see a Christian now doing the same thing and then asking you, before I put this on your face, bring me 10,000 Ghana cedis or come and win like lotto numbers, the aim of what the person is doing, right, is what would inform my judgment. I believe what he's doing is a spectacle, sort of convince people that I have power in a way, and if you rely on me.
Elisha. What was the essence?
Let me finish. I said earlier that the fundamental source of what I believe is the Bible, right? Now, if you don't agree with it, that's fine, right? But I'm saying that anything I see outside of the teachings of Jesus Christ, right? Love, compassion, mercy, right? And Jesus Christ also taught that by their fruits you will know them, right? Certain things you will see, right, would let you know that this person is not of me. So take heed, basically. And I'll say that most Christians that I know see that, and will tell you that this is exactly what they would see, right? From what Jesus Christ said, that people are false prophets, right? For me, in my mind, what I see and observe from him is what I'll say.
Take a Christian. Yes. Thank you.
Semi-Christian.
Please. What Obinim does, most Christians hate it because in their church it doesn't mean they don't do miracles. Even though they all teach that Jesus can do all that, it doesn't happen in their church. So when they see Obinim doing it, they go like, oh no, this is not from God. Now, as to Obinim asking for money or whatever, look, let's be honest here. In the videos we see, how many times does he heal people or whatever and asking them for money before? No, he doesn't do that.
I'm not saying
you understand.
He did that. It's just an expression. Like I was trying to say, for example. Not
but for an example, see, my brother. Jesus was God. He had all the power. Now, in order for him to feed 5,000 people, he had to take someone's bread and fish. He could not charm them. No, hold on. This is where I am coming from. No, let me learn. This is my reason for saying that. When the pastors take that money, let's be honest, most of them tell you that they are taking that money to take care of the church for the other people. You understand? They must contribute into the ministry. You understand? So if you have a special need and you come, they tell you, oh, bring something small. And I know that, look, me, I have had people tell me to go there running business and having some issues. They told me, oh, 500 cedis, 300 cedis. What the bar there, they are boy as well. That's what the pastor will do. I don't know. But at the end of the day, the Jesus you say you are following also took things from people to help.
I'm not saying it is wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong to give.
But you said like their fruit. You said
wait, pause. Yeah.
Right now, victim of Christianity to them that has woken up from religion. And me, I know you really.
Association of Christians that they perhaps must be placing this form, and that somebody coming from this direction, who perhaps was brought up in Bukom setting, but the Holy Spirit is on him. We tend to say no, but we tend to forget that anybody who has been brought from typical concept, when he's in talent, he's gifted, which God gives to anybody, alright? Without the gift. So whatever he does with it, God doesn't care. But at the end of the day, when the judgment day comes, so you are trying to see people like Obini or in this regard. But if he's a Tika setting, Krasini, Tika, rough, but the spirit is on him. Alright?
So
he can still do what he has to do, but we're trying to see it in this.
So like let me use this like example, right? Among like Catholicism is a sect of like Christianity. If you are Catholic and you are in the priesthood, you cannot get married, right? The choices of a priest to abuse a child, to abuse a girl, to take advantage of their office, to do bad things, doesn't mean that every single priest is like that. There are priests who use their office to take care of the people in their environment. There's an example of a priest in like Rwanda, when there was this genocide. He welcomed everybody into his church and protected them because it was the core of his belief. There are other examples of priests in like Europe, when they kept people like in the churches, the Jews like in the churches. When the Nazis came, they let them enter, right? The choices of a few do not affect the fundamental aspect of the like religion. Now, part of the religion teaches that you will see with your eyes if this person is of me or not. How will you see? By his fruits, right?
But the fruits you're talking about.
Let me finish. By the fruits. There's a time he went to like a radio station and smashed the glasses. Why? Yes. So are you saying that you wait, you know how to fight with someone? There is a context to this in that you believe that Jesus Christ is God. Is Obinim God? No. Now
God can do whatever he wants, but
now you see. Now you listen. No, you may not agree with something, right? But if you understand it, that is the point of the whole thing. You understand where I'm coming from. Because you don't believe what I believe. We can't agree. But
this argument will all go down to the point in any Christian where faith comes into play. Once that comes into play, you know if it
we can't agree, yeah.
So let's go to the next question.
Yeah. But can I say something?
Hey, go ahead.
Next question. Next question.
When I asked him something.
Oh, please speak.
About Obidim. Whatever he's doing now can be found in the Bible. Certain prophets and people who were blessed by God, the things he's doing, like that's you can find them in the Bible.
They did worse. One person said God has
no. It doesn't matter. Moses killed 1,000 people, men, women, children, and animals. In the name of God. By God blessed him.
See evidence.
Okay,
so,
wait, pause. Like,
okay. Next question.
You know. Wait, just to like address like wait. I'm not answering this, but I want to address something like in general, right? Just one.
I just want to say, please let's not remember the rules I laid down from the beginning. That we shouldn't talk about each other, and also this should not evolve into an adverse system.
Yes, exactly.
Because if you look at the questions, right, there's always a point where we are asking for a consensus. We are always trying to see what we all agree on. The whole idea of this series is to build consensus that, okay, there are some things that we can agree on. Let's look at those ones and then move forward. Right? I think there are questions that we need asked, then we can do that. But always, you can take their answers with a grain of salt and then just move on. Because you will definitely not agree with everything that
my next question is for the human. You said that there are not two genders, right? Because I would like to know how many genders there are. And if it's different from sex. If it's different from sex.
Like sexual attraction or actual sex.
Male, female.
Okay, alright.
This one,
you will clarify for okay. I can help with that, right? The idea of sex is biological, gender is not. Gender is more social. So if you look at it from those two angles, you can look at the biological before you look at the social, right? So from the biological angle, they are not just two sexes. Right? Biology teaches us that there are various aspects of our biology that are
Spectrum.
towards one angle or the other, right? And we all fall into a form of a bell curve. Right? Where there are extremities on the left, extremities on the right, like extreme females, extreme males, and then most of us fall in the middle. That same biological representation is true of gender, but then gender adds one more aspect to it, which is the social. And the social is more of the rules. So if you have more of these tendencies, you are given these rules to perform. Or you are given like, okay, this is what you have to wear, or this is where you have to find yourself. So those are the two different angles you can look at it from. But in all of it, you have to realize that there is no two sexes, there is no two genders. Biology never said they are just two sexes. And then society never said they are just two genders. What we do is, we like to organize things. It's easier for us to just say, okay, these are the extremes. For instance, for a long time, if you ask two colors, black and white, what's the opposite of day, night? But there's a whole spectrum in between, right? But then it's easier for us to just say black, white, man, woman. It's easier for us to break it down in that respect. But in actuality,
but my problem with that is, I think there are
sexes or gender. We were trying to
if you say
there's really what you think. Again, remember we said this from the beginning. There's really what you believe and what is true and what is fact. Right? You can't have your own facts.
Right? It's a fact that they are just gender.
It's not a fact.
No. I'm coming to let me see what I'm helping out there. If they aren't two, then can you supplement? Suppliers with gender?
I'd like to ask him what sex is Caster Semenya? Caster Semenya.
Yeah.
Caster Semenya. The runner, the female runner. She identifies like as a woman, but she's intersex. She's not. Yeah, but what? So like I'm asking you, what sex is she? What sex would you put on her?
See,
no, not her identity. What sex would he put on what he sees?
No, like, my thing is,
you can also go by that.
Yeah.
No, but he's saying there are two. He's saying there are two.
No, my thing is, if fine, there are types of males when it comes to sexes. Because they are great.
See, you said type of males.
Yeah, so you created a spectrum.
So take for instance, right? Okay, hold on. Take for instance, right? I'm born, right, with male organs and ovaries. What am I?
You say intersex.
What type of intersex?
Automatically, that means
three
sexes.
And what type of intersex are you?
Automatically.
How does it make three sexes?
Intersex.
That makes three sexes.
Male, female,
intersex.
So three.
No, I don't think that's valid. I don't think that's valid.
That's the thing.
Because it's not as if it's not as if the creature he is describing has all the organs fully functioning.
Okay, let me give an example.
Okay. Let me say this. There's always our sexes, right? There are species, right? Where there are species where there are different sexes. Where you can say there's such a thing like the A sex, the B sex, the all the way to whatever character you like. But in our species, there seem to be only two. But in the development of the sexes, for example, for men, for example, right? If you have the Y chromosome or whatever, you develop an extra feature.
Very good. Very good.
If that malfunctions, maybe due to a lack of something, doesn't mean necessarily that you are not.
Okay. So there is a syndrome, complete androgen insensitivity syndrome. A fetus has XY chromosomes. The fetus produces testosterone, but the body cells cannot identify the testosterone. So as the baby is developing, the baby develops as female. The baby is born, grows into a woman, has breasts, hips, every phenotypic thing that you see is a woman, but genotypically it's a male. What sex is that?
Please, this is something. The reason why
I don't know. I'm asking you. You're saying that there are two, right? And I'm asking you, if somebody is genotypically male and phenotypically female, what sex are they? And that's what I'm asking you.
What makes you say it's a
female? Can we address that as abnormality? Not in a sense. No,
wait. If you use abnormality, right, then you spit in the face of variation.
I use the word abnormality. What I mean to say is, when I refer to abnormally, what I'm referring to is that there's what we call the bell curve.
You have an abnormality because you postulate it. You understand? Wait, sine is function. If A meets B in a certain machine.
Wait, pause. Let me stand by you. Right?
Alright, because one of the programs that we'll have, one of the episodes that we'll have will delve into gender and sexuality.
Yeah.
I think it's the fifth or fourth.
Hey, I'm a Christian. I'm supposed to
With
argue.
that one, the whole 2 hours.
Christian, I'm supposed to be arguing on it. Okay, cool.
So, what's your next question?
So
that's it.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
So next question.
Thank you.
Oh, but it's already dismissing me. They're done with the questions, are we?
Thank you.
You are done with the question.
Yeah. Nikki, you are done.
I realized that like most of the questions were targeted for the Christian because they don't agree with the. I realized.